Yeah, I've seen that, heard that. I mean,
Not so
my
much.
my original thing was just me talking about whatever I wanted to. Because when I first started Shady Do Rags, it was I was struggling in school, and I was like, I quit my old channel, and I was like, I can't focus on the channel like I want to, but I need a creative outlet. So I just made whatever I wanted, and then once had the goal of making Shady Do Rags like a career thing, that's when I started looking at what I could focus on.
Yeah.
With us, it's like kind of had a tiny bit of identity crisis because we went from like film. We still do film analysis, but we then pivoted last year. We pivoted a lot more towards let's plays. We did the Baldur's Gate uh series, which still hasn't even fully come out. Uh, and then now it's just now it's just kind of like an in between where it's like, all right, we live stream talking about this kind of stuff, and then while playing video games, like uh, like we were in the middle. We're supposed to get back to our Silent Hill 2 playthrough, but that hasn't picked up in a while. Here's the link, by the way. We're live now, by the way. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah,
Oh wait, hold on. Let
so
me do it right. Hey, hello. How do you do? There you go.
they said the thing. Yeah. So, Jake, it's been a while since we've just sat here and talked about media, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has been for the live stream. Normally we just stream video games, and the last time we did an episode was Project Hail Mary, which I was a part of, but I didn't watch the movie.
Yeah, yeah. And then there, like, I did like the Motor City review, which is still coming out. I keep forgetting to slap the thumbnail on it and then hit go. Uh, so let's see. Uh, so it's been a while. Shady, would you like to reintroduce yourself to everybody?
Greetings. I am Shady Durangs. I am a YouTuber, mostly known for reviewing animation. More recently, it's more nostalgic animation, but I have dipped my toe into other things, other more recent things.
Yes. So recently, a season of a television show in which the three of us enjoy, recently came
Yes.
out. Well, it's a
Yes.
little series. I don't think you've heard of it, Shady, called King of the Hill.
Oh, sounds fascinating. Tell me about it.
So, I guess before we begin, like, so we didn't really talk about season 14. I meant to get that scheduled, and then it kind of just fell through. Uh, so what were your impressions for the most part of season 14 before we continue this?
You talking to me?
Yes.
Yeah.
My impressions of season 14 was that it was a good continuation of the show. It could have been better, but it certainly could have been worse. I've seen various degrees of continuations slash reboots when it comes to shows. I think the show could have, thinking of season 14 by itself, it could go in a positive direction and it could go in a negative direction. Um, yeah, that's about the gist of it.
Yeah, fair enough. And
Yep.
the various changes, like, I how'd you feel about the voice actors changing over? Because it went from the person who voiced Cotton to voicing Dale and Khan, if I remember correctly. That was because unfortunately with the guy who voiced Dale passed away like halfway through recording, I believe.
So with the voices, varying degrees. I think Joseph is fine. Um, I think um, Chang not Chang is fine. I think Joseph and Chang are fine. I think Ted is ignorable. I think he's bad, but he's ignorable. Um, Dale, I think, is probably the worst voice acting in the show. It pains me to say that, but
Yeah.
the voice acting, it sounds like someone pretending to be an older version of Dale rather than actually Dale. And Khan, I think, is just awful. I think it's
Yeah.
distractingly awful how
It is.
bad
Oh
Khan is.
yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
voice acting isn't necessarily bad. It's just that's an iconic voice from the show, and he is not the person doing it doesn't at all sound like that character.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's not great.
especially because like they have the person who already voiced Khan, like they still have him in the booth, like because like when we had the Good Hank episode, like because the guy who voiced Cotton was the voice actor for Khan, like they had him there. Why they didn't just think to just have him like, hey, get back in the booth and voice your original character was beyond me.
Yeah.
But like there weren't that many. I don't think we had any complaints over for the most part season 14, and if they were pretty much just like why are we kind of going a little bit back to status quo, like trying to get Bobby and Connie back together, which was
I have. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I have major complaints. It's just that I also have major praises. Like my biggest complaint with season 14 was the divorce of Khan and Min. I felt like that was just completely out of character for them to do, especially since they were showing signs that they hated each other, and I was like, this was one of the most in sync couples in the original show. I just cannot buy that they hate each other now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
season
like they're-
15 reveals more about that, but just sticking strictly with season 14, I absolutely hated that, and I still hate that about season 14.
Yeah, when you really think
Yeah.
about their relationship, it and like she stuck with him through like the car wash when they went through the redneck phase, when he damn near got into like a street fight. Like they were like, the more you think about it, they were ride or die.
Yeah. It's like you have two awful people that are like a perfect match for each other.
Now, I do want to be somewhat fair. There is there's a theory about how, if you look at the original series, men seem to be prepared for divorce. I saw this when I watched Squirrel Tactics video on Min, and there's good evidence that she was prepared for a divorce, and that maybe she had to get married due to having Connie. I just don't buy that she hates the hatred. I do not buy. I can believe she was ready for one in case it happened. I don't buy that she hates Khan as much as they seem to show her hating Khan.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
the hatred kind of seems to go both ways, because during like it is kind of insane, like how he gets this house, they move to the middle of Texas, they finally get divorced, and he's just it was just season 14 alone is forced to just sleep in the garage and just put on this guise of trying to remain a normal couple.
And they show him as though like he didn't want it to happen. And that's what was giving me the vibe in season 14, that someone just hated Khan, because it's like, oh, he was the breadwinner of their family, but he's living in the garage. He is sad about the divorce. Min's not sad about the divorce. She's just she's just ashamed of it, but she's not sad about it. And he is the one that is like packing up and moving out. And I'm like, does somebody just hate Khan? Like, I really feel like that's the case. Like, again, just looking at season 14, season 15, I do have some slightly different thoughts. But it's just so out there how bad that the divorce of the Super Nuisance is.
Yeah, especially considering, if I'm remembering it correctly, Min chose Khan, who was like a counterculture bad boy, like over like potential more like a more stable life. She chose him.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that she says she chose him out of a big reason she chose him was out of rebellion. So it could be more of passion than love.
True.
If we're looking at that by itself. But looking at the entire series, I believe it's love, because Redneck on Rainy Street, they seem to be in love. There are lots of episodes where they seem to be in love, even when they get on each other's nerves.
Exactly. And then we'll probably have a lot more to talk about Khan in season 15.
Yeah. Khan is one of the biggest issue with the revival series. Yeah, that's pretty much hits the nail on the head. I think with a lot of the stuff being a logical through end, Bobby having the restaurant was probably one of my favorite aspects of the revival. I was like, yes, we're taking the through line from pretty much the last episode, and we're just running with it, which is what a lot more shows I think should do, because there's so many times where when they do a revival and they essentially just like, all right, we're back on the air, time to get everybody back to square one. It's like, no, like these people have lived their lives. It's time to we go from there. Hence why they made the big change of moving Hank and Peggy to Saudi Arabia. Like they that's why they did everything that they did, and hence some of my issues that would later be with season 15.
Bobby is one of like the fan favorites. Like I have yet to see anyone seriously say that they don't like what happened with Bobby, myself included. I love Bobby in the revival. I love most of the stuff they're doing with him. So yeah, I can agree with that take. Although another major issue I have is with the Manosphere episode. I did a whole video on that one. I hate that episode so freaking much.
Yeah,
you kind of forget about that. That's like the episode of season 14 that I forgot the most about, despite having one of my favorite endings. Because
I'm good with the very last ending and the kind of message.
Yeah, the very last scene is great. The rest of it, we can just forget happened.
Well, yeah, because like him finally essentially saying, like in his own way, saying goodbye to Cotton was probably my favorite thing in the entire episode. Wasn't the garbage bag last season though? Sorry, I don't know the episodes by name. That's on me. Hold on, as I pull
garbage bag. I think they're talking about the scene where Joseph jumps into the garbage bag. Is that?
During the beer episode. That's one of my favorite bit. Which shows like the connection. Again, showing how the logical through line of Joseph has become such a much of a conspiracy nut, like his dad. That's like, oh yeah, we need to get out of here. He just throws himself into a garbage bag and just sits by the side of the road.
And he's so smooth with it too. Like that's what gets everybody. It's
practice.
Flawless execution. A flawless execution of jumping into that bag.
Yeah.
One of the things I actually kind of had a bit of a problem with, I really wanted Willow to stay. I wish they had not done what they did at the last second, so that then they could enforce him trying to get back together with Connie. It felt so weird because I don't know, I just didn't vibe with college-aged Connie, and more with what Willow was saying, especially her comment about the open relationships. It's just an excuse for people to get free dick, and it's like, yeah, that made me laugh, and then just out of nowhere she shits on a desk.
Yeah, she
Go ahead.
Weird.
Oh, and also feeding Hank. That was weird.
Yeah, that was incredibly weird. Or like kissing Bobby right during dinner, just
and climbing on top of the table. They did everything they could to make her seem as weird as humanly possible.
Yeah.
I don't mind. Hold on. Willow has this design on her that makes me just biasly not like her. But I think they did a good job creating an interesting character, and I was curious to see where they were going to take her. So it was very disappointing that they just decided to abandon her. That with the storytelling they were going for, that didn't make any sense. I genuinely feel like maybe something happened with the voice actress, because it seemed like she was just ripped out of the story. But if it was to like hammer home that they want Connie and Bobby to get together, Connie I have issues with, but I think her character could be used to tell good stories. The only time I really like Connie is adult Connie. I love child Connie, but the only time I like adult Connie, don't take that out of context. The only time
FBI, open up!
The only time I like adult Connie is when she gets really adorkable, which she has to be on hospital narcotics to do that. But I think that's a really fun character. But I think the character that she has become, whether I like her or not, is really interesting. And I think she works with Bobby and Joseph. Just putting her with Bobby is it's not bad, but it's not that interesting. Like Willow was more interesting of a person to put with Bobby, especially considering how different she is from Hank and Peggy. And
Yeah.
she, with her typical mindset, she could go on a lot of adventures with Peggy, who's more liberal than Hank is, and open up a can of worms with her. So yeah, I say I agree with you. I with how they treated Willow. You know, I'm not sad to see her go, but I think they had something good that they let go.
I think they could
Yeah.
have. I think they could have at least like in this season at least probably had like a moment in which it's like, oh hey, I haven't seen you in like a while. How are you doing? And then like we have the dynamic between like a Bobby who has essentially chosen Connie over her. Uh, so that raises the question as to when and why Joseph did it. Oh, the garbage bag. They've clearly lived enough of a life that with Dale being who he is, he could have easily. It's like, hey, yeah, here's how you get into a garbage bag really fast. Or and also, like Joseph is just Joseph. He's always been more physically capable than his dad.
Yes. Like, well, yeah. I mean, have you seen who his biological father is? We'll get to him.
Uh, uh, so let's see. What other complaints would I, or even things I would have? Yeah, there was Willow. I think Bill somehow got worse
Yeah,
because
they
the whole I pretending Peggy is my fake wife so I can appease this barber shop that I go to from time to time was so bizarre. It's like I could imagine Bill would do that, but like he would be more of a spur of the moment type deal, not this like ongoing lie.
I can imagine him doing that. I would just think the other characters would put a firm stop to it. I don't like that the episode decided to not only let him get away with it, but to have Peggy encourage it. I'm not going to say it's out of character for Peggy because he was praising her at the time, but I think there is something that should have interrupted that. Like somebody should have been the bigger person and said, doesn't matter how we feel, this is wrong to have
Yeah.
this many people believe this lie, which Hank was doing, but he thought Peggy would put a stop to it and she didn't. I would say the that episode subjectively is what is probably like the worst episode. Like it makes me the angriest. A lot of people feel that it's just the worst episode. I think the Manosphere episode is objectively the worst one because I think they break way more storytelling rules in that episode. But subjectively, yeah, I got way more angry at uh my Peggy's Fade Out. My brain was trying to remember the
Yeah.
title of the episode. Peggy's Fade
Yeah.
Out.
Yeah.
I think the episode on a subjective level that really bothered me was Sounder Investment, the season 14 finale, because it's just like I don't know how I feel about it on an objective basis, mainly due to the fact that like I don't know how the stock market really works. But the idea that they haven't done anything and they essentially have gotten so many people to back up their boar hunting industry, and it rises and then crashes within the span of like a week. And it's like, what? Like how is like it feels like the story is actively bending for this joke. Like,
I am
that's
told by people who claim to be in the stock market, I don't know how true this is, that this is something that can happen, and it is actually realistic because Peggy selling her stock would have made it crash. I don't know if the show writers knew that, but they're saying like if a thing is rising that fast, that's actually a sign that it's probably going to crash, that one of the founders is going to sell, and one of the founders did sell. It was Peggy, and that's what makes it crash. So people are saying that that's realistic.
oh.
Again, I don't know if I give the writers that much credit, but my big issue with that episode was that storytelling wise, it's not done properly. Storytelling wise, it's trying to say that in certain circumstances Hank is right, when throughout the entire episode Peggy was right throughout the whole thing. So it's trying to give them half and half credit, but at the but at the end it gives Hank way more credit than he deserved when he was wrong throughout the entire thing, and he just happened to luckily get right at the very end.
Yeah, I could see
Yeah.
that.
Which isn't even his victory because that Peggy was the one who did it. Peggy was the one who sold her. She's just like, I heard your voice in my head when I was doing it.
In fact, they made it seem like, in fact, at the last second, Hank invests his half into the business, loses it, and because she sold, like, it's basically a net zero. But yeah, it is very much by all reality, he kind of was in the wrong. I hate to say it, like
it shows that Hank has no business sense because he made every wrong choice, like every wrong choice throughout the episode.
Which honestly, I kind of don't believe that. Just simply because, like, I think Hank Hill would be at least halfway decent at business, just given all of his, given the fact that he was essentially running Strickland. Buck was just there. He was an owner in name only.
Well, Hank has shown that he's hesitant of taking risks. He likes sensible business, which you can run a business that way. You just
it's going to be slow.
You can cripple it by losing opportunities, quote unquote. Right. Hank was running Strickland Propane, but there were moments where Buck was making the more riskier decisions because it was his company to do, and Hank was doing the day-to-day stuff, which they do go into in this season. They say Hank is a natural lieutenant rather than a natural leader.
Right.
So I can't say that's like too out of character for him to be not as good at the bigger business stuff, but I wouldn't say he's bad at business when he's been essentially a manager. Just that he doesn't know when is a good time to take risks because he will never take a risk, essentially, or virtually never take a risk.
Which is fair. Like there are people, like hell, even I'm this way, where it's like, if the odds aren't essentially like almost up to 75%, I'm not doing it. Like
same. Like I don't like taking risks with business.
Well, especially in this case because we're like take it with like YouTube. We're already kind of gambling with a system that essentially is like roulette, poker, and all other gambling sport all combined with when even if you are successful, you have to then roll the dice again and again to essentially ride that high so you can continue your success.
Exactly.
I mean, I tell aspiring YouTubers, like, treat it like a hobby first, so that way you're not really risking anything. And then when you become successful enough that you can start treating it like a business, then you can maybe take a small risk, or if it's successful enough that it's not a risk, then you start treating it like a business. You start putting money towards it and all that jazz. That's not, if you start putting money towards it in the beginning, you could still be successful. But I tell people that because there's no guarantee of success. You could do everything perfectly and get no recognition, and the person next door could do nothing right and get 1 million subscribers overnight. Like there is a bit of luck involved.
The entirety of like shorts becoming like the mainstay of the entire platform has been a constant reminder for us for that one, because we're not only streaming like in regular format, we're also streaming vertically, and it's one of those things. We start almost every vertical stream of, why are you here? Like, why is this the preferred viewing format? Because my analytical brain is just trying to figure out, like, all right, why is this working? And like Max and Slur have repeatedly said, like, no, you're just not gonna get it because it's almost an unrecognizable pattern by this point. So yeah, when it comes to you are onto something when it comes to like Hank and his risk taking, and let's see, I'm trying to think of like what else. The funny sort of changes, not even changes, just the little moment to moment, like New Ref in Town was such a giggle episode for me, because the idea that just because he was in like the Middle East for so long, and where like a country where where soccer is just almost everywhere is pretty funny.
Yeah, and then like you have now. Granted, I think it is obviously a bit exaggerated, but then you have like Boomhauer and the other people in the other Texans just going, "It's soccer. Who gives a shit about the rules?"
Oh yeah, by the end of the episode, they're just like, just kick the ball around. Who gives a shit?
I like how in A New Ref in Town, I like how in that episode, Hank starts to like something that he normally wouldn't like. I like how it's done there because that's a running theme, a running motif with King of the Hill, where Hank realizes his attitude towards something might not be the best one. I like how it's done there more than how they did it in the first episode, where Hank and Peggy are trying to find a reason to stay in America. Because in the first episode, it felt like originally I felt the feels and I was like, oh, this is nice. But then I watched it again. I was like, this was very rushed. And also, I don't believe this cookie thing would convince Hank, like with the way they present it, where they're like, oh, yeah, this is more sensitive towards Samoans. I'm like, okay, that's not a good explanation for Hank because Hank would think Samoans shouldn't get offended anyway. You would have to explain to him more why that was offensive and why the change needed to be done. But the way they approach that episode is, oh, this is something that even someone like Hank would admit is offensive. And it's like, no, no, Hank thinks a lot of things that the world finds offensive are stupid.
Yeah, like including like I remember that whole episode when they all thought Ladybird was racist, and he was trying to explain like racism to a dog. He's like, no, they shouldn't be judged by the by the color of their skin, but as he rolls the window down, but by the content of their character.
I mean, the very first episode is about Hank, people judging about how Hank yells too much, and he thinks that's incredibly stupid, but he has no choice but to like try to calm himself down because he doesn't want to lose Bobby. And so, like, there are episodes like that where Hank is in the right, and there are episodes where Hank is in the wrong. And the first episode of season 14 is trying to convince him that his perspective on America is wrong. I don't think they do a good job. I think they rush it too much.
Yeah.
Do you like what do you think of the idea that they would even leave? Like we have the explanation in this newer season, but there is part of me that's just like I don't think you could convince Hank Hill to leave America for an extended period of time.
I think you would have to nat 20 that persuasion roll. I think it's possible, but there would have to be a huge sell. Like before season 15 came out, I thought Buck persuaded him to do it, like talked him into doing it. And I was like, that would make sense if Buck talked him into do it, because he just about believes anything Buck says. Like spreading, Buck saying, we need to spread the gospel of propane across the seas, and I think you can do it, Old Top. That would convince Hank, but him just doing it on his own. I mean, how they do it eventually in season 15, it's not the worst, but I'm not like smiling about it either.
I actually thought that Strickland Propane burned to the ground. I was like, that's the only way you're gonna be able to convince him is the business just needs to be fucking gone.
Or like maybe Bobby needs a lot of money, and this trip is a way for Hank to get that, so Bobby can like get a loan or start up something or something like that. I believe Hank would make a sacrifice for his family if it was big enough. But the way they do it, it's not the worst. It's just I would have gone for like something slightly different, like a more bigger Hank focused push.
Yeah. Which I guess maybe that brings us to season 15.
Yes, I was about to segue into that as well. So, I guess like would you guys like to give like sort of an initial like thought or a rating before we go into more detail? Like, because we have notes. I at least have a bullet point note per episode. Like, because I did not like this season almost at all. I thought this season was a drastic downgrade from 14.
Yeah, same. I just kind of Sometimes I actually found myself just kind of not paying attention. Not even necessarily because it was bad, but just because some of the stuff was either not funny or like it was some of this, or it was just such a massive flanderization of a character that I liked. My brain just decided to not pay attention.
I don't know if I would say drastically, but I absolutely agree with downgrade.
Mhm.
There was season 15, season 14 left me hopeful. Season 15 did not. Season 15 made me think, oh, if this is where the direction the show is going, I'm not sure if it's for me. But the original show did have bad seasons as well, so
True.
season 16 could improve. But if this made me not hopeful for it improving.
Yeah.
That's true, and it's like, yes, the original show was not flawless. I act like the famous like band episode where Luann falls in quote unquote in love with that pig farmer is. I honestly, it's like, Luann, I know you're not the brightest thing, but survival instincts of a moth, man. You need to. What are you doing? there are some pretty bad episodes with the original show. I think.
Mm-hmm.
The problem that I was ultimately having, and as Jake and I were watching this, is that it felt like we were almost sort of like factory resetting a lot of kind of stuff. Like, so we have Connie and Bobby back together, so we're just going to do the things that they probably would have done when they were teenagers, which is really weird because they're not teenagers anymore; they're adults. In the case of like my biggest, like, that was the problem I was having with the mascot episode. Like, so she's just gonna use her boyfriend, who's running a full-time business. She's just gonna use him to like pretend to be a mascot so that she can study more. It's like, that's something I feel like Connie would have done as maybe a teenager in the original series, but I don't think she would do that as an adult.
I mean, I could kind of see her doing it as an adult, but they should have. This is something that should have. She should have. This is something her character should have been addressed with as a teenager. I still used improper grammar, but like, that episode has a problem that I've noticed as a running theme, which is either the wrong character improves or they don't improve. And like, I was like, oh, they're Connie. Somebody else speak. I'm trying to get my thoughts together.
You're fine.
So I guess you could say, like, especially that's why I alluded to, they're adults, and Connie also, actually, no, Connie choosing to be a mascot, while I wouldn't say is not believable, I would imagine she would believe it's a harder job than she initially she thinks. Especially since she knows Bobby, and like, I assume they would still be friends. They were still friends after they initially broke up when they were like 12, 13.
Oh yeah, that's like the whole dynamic when they, like, for most of the original shows, because they were only dating for like, what, 2-3 seasons max.
I believe so, and I believe that, like, they would have conversations about this with Bobby as mascot, and Bobby would probably be like incredibly. There might, like, Bobby would have to go through his own growing pains, even though if he probably had experience being a goofy entertainer beforehand. But I would imagine she wouldn't believe it'd be like the easiest thing in the world, especially considering you're in a big suit doing a bunch of like athletic tricks and whatnot, and that gets really hot. And I don't know, for like for someone who's like who's taking multiple advanced science courses, someone who is supposedly intelligent, I think that she would understand that it's a bit more difficult, but maybe she didn't understand just how difficult it would be.
I would also argue that it's one of those things of, like, you're telling me you've never seen, like, you're telling me, like, you grew up in Arlen, Texas, and you go to Tom Landry Middle School, and then it was also Tom Landry High School, wasn't it? Like, and you never went to like a single pep rally, or you just ignored all the stuff that happened there. You'd see the mascot do his thing. Oh wait, no, the middle school totally had a mascot because Bobby took the suit.
Yes.
And so like the idea that she has like zero experience with it is just, I frankly just I don't believe it.
It's supposed, the lesson's supposed to be that she thinks she doesn't let herself fail, and as Bobby says, when she fails she just gives up. So this was something that she failed at, but she found an out instead of giving up. And then it winds up with her being proud of failure, which is a lesson I can appreciate, because I used to talk about the fear of failure all the time, because it's something I'm very susceptible to, just being afraid to do something because you're afraid of failing. But there weren't consequences. I think that's the issue I have. Connie doesn't face the consequences of failure, and without the consequences of failure, failure doesn't hurt as much. Like, she should be fired, or have the person realize that Bobby was the person in the suit, and she doesn't get her college credit because she was cheating that whole time. Like, there
Oh yeah,
needs to be a consequence for failure for the situation to mean something.
oh yeah, especially because like because my girlfriend is in a work study. There are faculty around you almost constantly. So the idea that like no one was noticing, like, hey, your performance went from like you went from like absolute crap to now you're the best. No one learns that fast, especially with something like this where you do need like a bit of charisma and panache to do properly. Let's see. Quickly pulling up the season as well, and also my notes.
If we start from the beginning,
Yeah,
failure to Heart Lodge. I don't know if I
I
have too much to say about that one. I just don't like. I like that they're trying to give Chain an arc, but they kind of rush it. Like,
they they
Yeah, like
rush
it's
it,
just well,
and
it's
then
not even an
also
arc. It's not even an
actually
arc. Like
I hate Chang and I hate Ted in this episode so much because you're telling me that like so to teach his son a lesson, he's gonna force him to work at the restaurant or that he has no experience in, and even your head like the person running your business is saying would be a bad idea, and because like there are some people that just aren't good at working in restaurants because it's a high stress environment, and just throw someone in that you're losing money. Like
yes, very much so.
for Ted, that's fine. He well, it's not fine, but he can take that risk because he's trying to teach his son a lesson. He's not thinking about that. Bobby will lose money and could potentially lose the business or his stake in the business.
yeah.
I could be fine with it if he was like, you're gonna work at the restaurant and you're gonna do whatever Bobby and the guy you just fired said.
Exactly. You
That
rehire
would be
Emilio
a
and you make him a busboy.
yeah, like that would be different. But to be like, you're going to replace the sous chef who does all the middle management so you can learn a lesson. Like that's something I could see Ted doing, but it makes it makes it a very frustrating thing to watch, especially because they're rushing Chain's character development. This would be something that would require like a couple episodes, but they're trying to be episodic with a lot of the details in these episodes, so they don't get a lot of time. And somebody mentioned this, and I couldn't put it into words until somebody else said it, but a lot of the resolutions of each episode just seem really rushed, like they just push past
Oh
the
yeah.
conflict that's supposed to be there.
You 100%. Yeah.
The idea that it's like, yep, they're now locked in the basement, and they have to wait for Emilio, and they have this whole like conversation about like it turns out Chang proposed and in a complete panic, and it's like, okay, yeah, I guess that's like yeah, they solved the situation in it's like stereotypical. We solved the situation in 30 minutes or less.
Also, just screw that moment having Chang propose. Like it's not like I'm a fan of Chain, but I hate when a show has a clear vendetta against a character. It's like, oh, we want to make him look pathetic. So, oh, they broke up, even though he was the one who wasn't reciprocating Connie's
care.
feelings. Like they broke up, so
Yeah.
suddenly he's like, oh, Connie's like, oh, I guess he'd never been rejected before, which she spent her entire childhood rejecting him.
Exactly.
And suddenly
Yeah.
he's like, I'm in love, marry me. I'm like, no, okay, again, a clear vendetta. There's a clear vendetta there that they try to rush out, and it's to me, it's very blatant.
Well, you see, the audience hated Chang, so we must now hate Chang as the writers, and
That's that. I honestly felt that's how they handled Khan in season 14.
oh,
Like
yeah.
they were just like, the audience hates him, so we're allowed to do whatever. I still felt like somebody had a vendetta. Like they specifically wanted to take it out on Khan, but they thought it was okay because Khan is generally seen as like someone the audience is supposed to either hate or laugh at, because there are a lot of jokes at Khan's expense.
Not realizing
Yeah.
that the reason that it's like that is to, like, they do that, like, just because the audience is supposed to dislike him doesn't mean the show itself is supposed to dislike him.
Exactly.
Because again, if we're to sort of go with the idea that these aren't just characters in a television show, these are people living their lives. So it's like this idea that his life just completely fell apart, and then we get into so Khan and Min did have my favorite joke of that episode, and that's when it's like, oh, they did a hard launch. I wonder why. No, damn you, Bobby Hill. Like that was probably my favorite joke in the entire episode. Let's see. Oh, do you have another point?
No, I was just gonna say care for the dog is the next episode, but
Yeah.
if you've got notes, we can go off of those.
So my notes for that one is, I'm just gonna say the harsh thing. That dog is like what, 10 years old. He's allergic to the
Yeah.
sun. He's it's like he has to have like a bunch of medicines. Can't look it in the eye. I think that just might be a dog that you might need to put out of its misery, because that's to foster that kind of dog. That's a huge responsibility, and it's just, and I know that's the point they're going for, is that like Hank still was not over the idea of losing Ladybird, so the idea of like, we're gonna have this new dog and it's probably gonna die in like a couple years, it's like that's what they were going for. I just don't, on a subjective level, I just don't agree with it, but that's because like this animal is clearly suffering. Its
So I don't know
existence is
how-
pain.
I don't know how much of suffering I can see from it, because I felt like the point of the episode was that Hank was willing to put the resources into making its final years as comfortable as possible. And Hank has the resources to do that. He's considered wealthy now in the show, so he doesn't mind making his dog's final years comfortable. My issue with this episode, oh no, you had an add-on?
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, and I guess to play devil's avocado, just for a little, just for a bit. I also don't, considering that the dog in and of itself, aside from those issues, and while those issues are, you could argue, detrimental, it's not like it has difficulties moving around, right? Like it's not like it's. I mean, yeah, it's one of those genetic
Can't eat solid food
abominations.
anymore. Like he's
Yeah, can't eat solid. Well, I mean, that's a very easily mendable thing. Like just feed it soft food. I don't know. I can see both sides of the argument. Personally, I wouldn't. But that's just me.
If it's suffering, like I can understand the putting it down.
Yeah.
To
the
me,
way
it
they
felt
were
like
describing
they
felt like it was suffering. Sorry, that might be an interpretation thing, I'll admit.
to me it felt like it could suffer if it didn't have the right owner, but Hank and Peggy
Yes.
were willing to put in what they needed to so it didn't suffer. So that's why
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I can see them doing that. But this episode, well, first of all, for anybody who needs a reminder, A plot, B plot. One plot is taking care of the dog. The other plot is Bobby getting along with the Super Bones as Connie's official boyfriend. With the dog plot, this is where I started to notice a problem I have with this season. And I don't really want to describe it as a problem, but that's the best way I can put it, which is that so many people were like, this finally happens in this season. and they praise it happening. They don't look at how it's happening. They just praise it happening. This episode addresses Hank's feelings towards Ladybird and the fact that he lost her. And I think the way they do it is fine, but I don't think it's super praiseworthy compared to like the best episodes of the original show or even the season 14. Like, I think it's fine. I don't think they do anything wrong with it. I just don't think it should be heralded as super high up just because they did it. It's like he goes to her grave and he talks and he asks her permission to replace her. And I'm like, yeah, that's nice. That's fine. But it's not super praiseworthy. And that there's a lot of things in this season that happen where so many people come and say it's praiseworthy for happening. And I'm like, no, they could have done it better.
No, yeah, just because a thing happens, yeah, it's not like that's not praiseworthy by itself. Like, because then otherwise,
they're obviously modern MCU fans.
I was about to say, well, actually, I was just about to make that joke, like, oh yeah, he did the thing, so that's like that alone is worthy of praise. Nah, so that's fair. I will admit I did get a tiny bit teary-eyed when I saw Ladybird's grave, but I think that was more just thinking about. I was thinking about the rest of the show, essentially. I was thinking about all the moments he's had. The rabies episode with Bandit is like one of the most heart-wrenching episodes, especially for Hank, when he turns on the saw just to have a moment to essentially cry about possibly like losing his dog. Like, and like, I know it's been a few years, but now as like my own solo dog owner, like it's like, oh, that's rough.
I see what you did there. There are two reasons why that moment hits you with Ladybird. It's because you're either thinking of Hank and Ladybird in past episodes, or you're thinking of your relationship with a dog you know. So that's why it hits harder.
Exactly.
And again, I want to make sure I'm making this clear. It's not bad. I'm not saying they did a bad job. I just don't think it's as praiseworthy as the best King of the Hill episodes out there, just because they finally did it.
True.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. That's kind of all. Like, care of the dog. Like, that's kind of the only two real thoughts I have about it. I actually had completely forgotten about. Oh, that's right. The Chang, not the Chang, with the Bobby trying to impress Connie on her birthday. I will say it now reveals like just how absolutely shit Con and Min have become towards each other, and it's just like because Con's living with Bill now, and they're trying to upstage each other to the point that they like that Connie can't even be in the same fucking room as her dad, that's just shitty in and of itself. And then it's like, then Connie even go, like, I can't tell. Oh, not even I can't tell. It's one of those things of when Con steals Bobby's gift idea, that is kind of in character, but at the same time is like, I think he would have enough sense not to do that.
I think, okay, so first of all, Con living with Bill, that is a guilty pleasure, because I don't think Con would do that. I do not think Con, even at his lowest, would live with Bill. Like, my goodness gracious. But I like that he's doing that. I would think that would be good for him as a person to live with another divorced person. And I like how they handle it in future episodes. So definitely a guilty pleasure. As I've said, I hate that the Super Nuisanpones hate each other. That makes no sense to me. And this episode sealed that for me, because when I reviewed season 14, I was saying, oh, I don't believe that they fell out of love because they were so in love in the original series. And people were saying there are more reasons to get divorced than falling out of love, Shady. And I was like, yeah, I probably should have mentioned that, but I just got the vibe that they hated each other because of how they were treating each other in season 14. This season
confirms that.
Confirms that, yeah. They freaking hate each other, and I don't know why. Like, they act like they've always hated each other, and I'm like, that's just not the case. And this episode was very frustrating because I was just like, you guys, the lesson here should be that even if I can accept that you hate each other, the lesson should be that you're willing to put Connie first. And Con was willing to do that. To give the episode credit, that's the lesson Bobby teaches Con, that he should put Connie first. But then Min comes along and she's still awful.
Min's just a
Yeah.
bitch. Like
And
to
I'm like,
put
what
it,
are they doing with this character? Like, why is she so awful?
yeah, to put it bluntly, Min's just a bitch. Like throughout,
She
like
is
throughout
just
this
terrible.
episode and then the rest of the fucking season, like because to quickly talk about the poetry episode, she immediately posted on social media like she was like trying to give away that she was trying to get a fucking hookup. Like it was insane. Like she hates him with everything she's got.
My hatred of John Redcorn has been replaced with my hatred of Min. And I liked Min in the original. Like, Min
Yeah.
is one of the funniest jokes in the original show, where Peggy has to choose between Connie and Bobby, and she's like, "That's not my problem. Choose Connie." I love that joke so much. And she's like,
oh,
she's
that's right, yeah.
always-
Choose Connie. Choose Connie.
she was always a blunt person who put her wants like above what was going on. But there wasn't this hatred, except for like towards the later seasons, where for some reason she just starts hating Bobby. Like Con's hatred just bled into her for some reason, where she just starts hating Bobby in the hills. But even still, it doesn't compare to what they have now, where she's this hatred just infests her, and she points it all at Con. I'm like, why? What did he do? Like, it's that old what's that show called? The Boondocks joke. It's like,
Yeah.
and I was just thinking, man, what did that dude do to make her so angry?
Yeah. we watched that. I watched that clip last night too.
What did he do? Oh god, talk about a show I haven't seen in such a long time.
I genuinely feel for Min that someone is using her as a self-insert, because she is acting stereotypically divorced to the point that her character doesn't make sense with the previous character. And like I said, it felt like somebody had a vendetta against Con. I feel that less in this season because they seem to be giving him some good character development, but it's still like there's still that feeling in the air where someone is like using him as a punching bag.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, like the more you've brought that to my attention, it's like, yeah, what the fuck would cause their divorce? Because
Do we ever learn, or is it just that they got
Nah,
sick
just-
of each other?
it just happened. Like,
They the implication is that they're throwing in this season, they could still change this, but the implication is that they never really loved each other. Because in the anniversary episode, Min specifically says, "I got married when I was your age," and Connie says, "Well, maybe I don't want to make the same mistakes you made," insinuating that she felt forced to get married because that's what you did back then. You just got married to a guy, and she's never liked it. And there's also in this season, this is not absolute. This barely qualifies as evidence. It's more headcanon than anything. But Min says for the first time in years, she's liked a guy. And I'm like, I know she's been divorced from Con for 2 years, so that's not technically longer, but I feel like she's trying to say like years, like decades ago. But again, I don't have absolute proof of that. So it seems to me like they're trying to say they were never really happy as a couple, but they don't show any inciting incident as of yet.
yeah, and even then, it'd be like, what inciting incident would they even have that would cause them to get divorced? Because if it was like the idea that like Con cheated, for example, one, that not only is that not said, I also just wouldn't flat out believe that Con would do something like this, especially if like with everything that has happened. If I had to guess, if we were to put like extenuating circumstances on it, maybe putting Connie through college financially kind of just finally broke them as people. But like we don't see that. Like Connie seems to be doing just fine and probably has like hundreds of scholarships. Like,
Yeah, she would have gotten a full ride easy.
To the college she went to, yes. If she had went to Harvard like they had originally planned, I could maybe see them struggling. But the college that they went to, yeah, she should have like a full ride scholarship. And Squirrel Tactics brings this up in his video. Min comes from money. Her family is super rich, which is why he mentions that he thinks she was planning. She had a plan for a divorce because there's a little clue that says she has a separate bank account from Khan. So I can't really see her struggling with money to that degree. Like if
Yeah.
it was because there are times in the old show where they're like they show they're not the richest couple, but they don't struggle with money. In fact, they indulge themselves a lot. That's one of the jokes of the Super Nusipons is that they buy a lot of extravagant things to seem wealthy. So
And they
I don't
clearly have
know.
enough to invest in a business. Like the car wash episode is one of my favorite episodes in the entirety of King of the Hill. Like they are well enough that they can make those kinds of risks and it not immediately kill them. Like financially, I mean. So to just believe that they do this is like, yeah, it's still just not believable.
Give me 30 seconds. I gotta grab some water.
They're fine.
I forgot to shill this on my channel. There.
Oh yeah, you better shill this. I don't even know where I was
So
going
the
with
thing
that
is,
sentence.
like-
I'm just looking at my coffee. It's like that was a horrible sentence, and I should be ashamed
Well, the
of
thing
myself.
is, right, like, apparently YouTube has this thing when it comes to posts and comments is that it will de-incentivize them if you post a link to a thing. So I had to, like, go over at RealYard, just had to, like, to tag your channel. So
I hate this platform so much.
I know, man.
Why will there
man.
never like the fact that there's no one's even considering making a competitor is one of the most bizarre things because then you could is this like because you have the whole thing of like with Kick and Rumble, their whole deal is like, yeah, we're an alternative to Twitch, like regardless of the who actually ends up going there, like that's just what they are.
YouTube acts as an alternative for other platforms, but for some reason, everybody's afraid to step on YouTube's toes. Like you could use YouTube as an alternative to Twitch, but not the other way around, or an alternative to TikTok, but not the other way around. And
Exactly.
there was that recent thing. I don't remember who it was, but that one YouTuber who went over to Netflix recently, and YouTube released a statement like they're bribing YouTubers to not go over to Netflix.
What?
Oh,
A YouTuber went over to Netflix. Like the only thing that comes to mind is Mr. Beast, but he's still just posting his stuff. Who are you talking about? It's not coming to mind.
I don't know. I just saw it briefly when I was scrolling on Twitter. It's just like YouTube is paying people to not go over to Netflix, like such and such YouTuber.
Oh wow.
Wow. That's
Uh,
because what are our options? BitChute, Odyssey, and Rumble. And the less said about Rumble, the better.
Meanwhile, like the only competition I've ever seen YouTube like properly have is Dailymotion. Like that's the only thing that comes to mind. Like, cause
No,
like-
Blip.tv. We can't forget about
No.
Blip.tv.
Blip.tv died the moment it was created because the moment they could head over to YouTube back after the fucking adpocalypse, they jumped ship immediately.
Sorry, we got a bit distracted. Are we on to the next episode?
Searching for Bobby Fischer. Yeah, we can move on to that unless anyone's got any last little notes about Care of the Dog.
Nothing I can think of.
Caesar did grow on me a little bit in that episode. I kind of went going, oh, it's one of these dogs too. You know what? This tiny dog, that's willing to like attack an intruder. I like it. I can like him.
If the owners like them, then I'm fine with it. Like, I was
Yeah.
annoyed at the beginning because Hank clearly didn't like the dog, and Peggy said she would take care of it, and then
And
she
she
was
do shit.
asking Hank to, like, she took care of it somewhat, but then she specifically told Hank you won't even notice him. I'll do all the work, and then she asked Hank to do some of the work. I'm like, that's not what you agreed to.
Dude,
But him growing on Hank I'm like, okay, well, if the owners like taking care of them, then I've got no problem with it.
Yep. I have a lot of complaints with Peggy, but we will get to that when we get to that.
Yeah. So searching for Bobby Fischer. So man,
Which which
the one we know that Hank knows how Mexican bail works. I just don't believe he'd
yeah.
fall for this scam in general. Hank can be naive at times, especially when it comes to technology. I don't think he'd fall for this.
So I'm not going to argue either which way, whether or not he would or he wouldn't. But the episode does bring out the point that Hank feels he only fell for this because Bobby was continuously messing up and he thought this was just another notch. So he instinctively went to help Bobby. If he was, the episode tries to say that if he didn't know it was, if it wasn't Bobby, he would have second guessed it. But the episode also says he's kind of using that as a cop out.
Right.
So I can't really argue either which way personally. I feel like there's a world where he could, a world where he couldn't. I would need somebody else to push it.
So I could believe him getting fooled by AI because that's even I get fooled by it from time to time. In particular, there was this YouTube channel that has that looks like it has like a caracal. The guy has a pet caracal, and it's like, oh, okay. And then the more you watch it, the more you realize this is AI because the caracal is just doing exactly what the guy says, and that's just not how they operate. So I could buy him. Getting fooled by AI. It's just the way that they did it when it's like Bobby getting put in Mexican jail, and especially the way that Bobby was talking, how it's like there's like no inflection or whatsoever. It's not talking like Bobby.
Yeah, it's that idea.
Hey,
it's like you've spent so long, you would know how like what he sounds like over the phone and like how he
and
talks.
also I think Hank would know that, unless maybe I'm misremembering the episode. I think Hank would know that AI does exist.
Well, he was overseas.
He was overseas.
And away from like a lot of modern culture.
Oh yeah, that is true. That is true. Saudi Arabia is very restrictive.
Now I think to poke a hole in what I just said, I think he's supposed to have been he's supposed to have been back for at least a year now. I'm not sure because Bobby is still 21, so it should be less than a year. But in a later episode, Hank says, "Do you remember when this happened last year?" As if he was there. So I'm like, I guess he's supposed to have been here for at least a year. But yeah, he was overseas for a long time. So even if he knew about AI, he might not know like how advanced it is.
True, but I think there should have been an inclination of like something is off.
Him falling. Yeah, it's the fact he falls for it hook, line, and sinker instead of being hesitant, and then they pull like one of the common tactics that these scammers do, and that's the urgency of it. He could have made it seem like, oh no, like they look like they're about to kick the shit out of me. Well, of course, without using that kind of language, because I think at the end of the day, this is still PG-13.
My brain is playing devil's advocate, like for both points. There was the thing about how because I'm remembering where he got scammed by the dude who's teaching him how to not get scammed, and he's like, "But I trust you," and I'm like, "Yeah, that is kind of something Hank would do. If you're selling him something, he does kind of trust the people selling him things.
Yeah, he buys cars at sticker price. Yeah,
he thinks salesmen are supposed to be honorable, which is like the opposite of what most salesmen typically are. And also, my brain keeps going back to this scene. I don't know how relevant it is, but I feel like I have to talk about it. Where Debbie pretends to be an old lady, and she says, she's talking to him on the phone, and she says, "Tell Peggy that Hank slept with Debbie." And Hank says, "Who is this?" And she just says, "It's Debbie." And then Hank says, "Put that old lady back on."
I forgot about that.
So like he's there. Hank can be gullible. Like I think there's an
He
argument
can
to be
be.
made he can be gullible. But I'm not gonna say that they couldn't have presented it better.
One thing that it could have done, because what it sounded like, it was like an AI bot with Bobby's voice. If it was like an actual scammer that was using an AI filter, I think that would have been more believable, because it has like the human factor, the human cadence, and how a human would talk.
True, but we're used to AI.
Yeah,
So when we
like
hear
I will
something talk-
admit there is the age difference with us.
There is the age difference, yeah. So I guess that I wouldn't call it outright bad or unbelievable, just maybe a couple tweaks here and there.
I remember having somewhat issue with the ending. I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to put together what my brain had.
He burned
talk-
all of his stuff, and then he only came to his senses after that with the like fake Stallone that Bobby was doing.
Yeah, Bobby called him as Stallone. And then he came to realization when he checked for a certain piece of fact and Bobby didn't know it. I remember having an issue with the ending, but I can't remember exactly what it was. I'm not a fan of Connie then being like, let's do Jackie Chan on my dad, but that's just a mean-spirited joke. It's not necessarily anything wrong with it. I just sometimes don't like mean-spirited jokes.
Yeah,
Fair enough. Fair enough. Jake, don't check your mail. There's a pipe bomb.
Why do you have to tease me like that? You know, I've been wishing for the sweet embrace of oblivion.
So,
I was gonna say the thing that kind of made me mad when just burning all that stuff was his number one employee thing. He would not burn that. There's no way Hank Hill would burn like proof of his hard work.
Even after all this, after the falling out with Buck, yeah, I can believe he'd just be like, no, this is a cherished thing. And also, if you went, it's giving me reminders of the insurance episode, where like he was pretty, in this case with the AI stuff, he was pretty far gone. That's like, I would imagine if you have Hank Hill burn all of his information, that I don't know, like I don't think it's the point of no return, but it gets suspiciously close for him, because like he's not like Dale, like he will fall for schemes or like little like the Y2K stuff. He'll fall for stuff for instances, but he normally comes to his senses rather quickly.
I mean, with Y2K, he didn't fall for Y2K until like everything around him was pointing it to it being a thing.
Yeah, everything had to break in order for him to finally sort of snap for a little bit.
But like all in all, I don't have that much of an issue with this one. I can see people having an issue with it, but like I would be fine with leaving it in. Leaving it in the show.
Let's see. And then, okay, so this is the episode. So episode 4, Hank encounters with the nerd kind. I just fundamentally do not agree with most of. Well, first off, we have this whole episode about him being scammed and him like not falling for it, and the first thing he does is fall for a scam. Like, so it's one of those things of like, yeah, the episode is they're trying to be more episodic, I guess, but in this case, it just shows that, like, oh, I guess the last episode didn't count then, because you got tricked so easily. And then my bigger issue, I really did not like how he just disliked nerd culture so much that he said the end break the cycle of abuse. I was just like, dude, like, for everything that Hank Hill is, I don't think he would have such a visceral reaction to something like this, especially as Jake was bringing up while we were taking our notes, especially after all these years of raising Bobby. And then, like, so that's 2 points. And then my third point is, this is just throughout the season, he's made a lot of jabs at Bobby's expense, which I've thought has always been a bit weird. Like, so that's its own separate points. Would either of you like to tackle? Like, we can tackle 1 and 2 first.
If Hank Hill like absolutely fell in love with that one sci-fi movie, and to the point where he made the weapon from the movie, like down to like the finest details, and into the point where he's like, actually, no, this is the hieroglyphs for this alien species ancestors. Like to the point where he's like the like super nerd guy. I think Hank would have been a fan of sci-fi a lot sooner, with Bobby being a fan of this stuff, and inevitably he would have taken Bobby to maybe see one of the movies or watch one of them with him while it was on TV or something.
So I have a huge rant with this episode, but I want to try to stick to the topics that you were going on. I'm probably going to make a video on this episode because I hate this episode.
Such
fair
a
enough.
hate-worthy episode. It's such like
It's-
this. We like because we love to just pause and have little rants as we watch these things. I think it took us like an hour and a half to get to this episode, and we had like virtual company because we were hanging out with like a new friend, and then and my girlfriend was there. And she didn't know anything about King of the Hill, so to see both Jake and I just spurg out like this, it's just like, all right, I get it. Like, what's happening here?
Some people have asked me to review this episode because they were like, they thought I would agree with it because I did a Fillmore video about how you should be empathetic to geeks and understand that to them, this stuff is important. This episode really grinds my gears. Hate might be a strong word, but there are things in it I absolutely hate. But to again stick to the topic, I think one of the big things they did wrong with this episode is they took Hank from the original show and put him here. And because Hank from like 2010, yeah, I could see him having or 2005, 2010, somewhere along that era. Yeah, I could see him having this kind of reaction because geek culture was a thing back then, but for like boomers to go to a convention, I could definitely see them having this kind of reaction. But Hank having raised Bobby at this point, I can see him having a strong reaction, maybe not this strong. But I'd say that's probably a problem, but probably a lesser problem in my experience. In my opinion, I have a bigger problem with the episode. But I do agree that it is kind of ignoring the tone of the previous episode to have him get scammed immediately again in this episode. I think that's something Hank might have fallen for, but it does work poorly with the previous episode where he's learning not to get scammed.
And then also like, so to the boomer comment, I can kind of believe it, but it's also one of those things where so the problem being is like when like growing up, like because we would assume Hank grew up in the 70s, correct? Like with how old he is.
Original Hank was a boomer. This one's a Gen X.
Yeah, this one's because the weird sliding time scale.
Okay, so if we were to assume so if he's Gen X, that's different. If we were going to go with his original boomer thing, it'd be one of those things of like, okay, Hank, I understand like conventions would weird you out, but towards sci-fi in general, he would have been around during the craze of when Star Wars originally came out, which I know probably didn't hit as hard with Texas, but it still had enough cultural significance that I doubt he would still have this reaction.
Well, he's a jock, and he endorses bullying, so he picked on people who like Star Wars. Sorry,
I guess
I shouldn't say he was a jock as if that's
no,
all
it's not.
jocks pick on people.
He
was a
understand what you're saying.
stereotypical jock.
Well, the same thing. He was also bad at bullying. You are fat. Like he's the fucking the flashback of him bullies bullying me. No, so fair. so it might be a gross exaggeration, because when you hear about like our parents' generation reacting to the original Star Wars, they make it seem like the second coming of Christ had happened. Like it was this generational touchstone. And to be fair, there's evidence to kind of prove it only with like the footage like outside of theaters at the time. It's only now that we're just like, oh yeah, it's Star Wars. So I guess that Hank would have that sort of reaction.
And also, as the internet becomes more prominent, geek culture becomes less isolating. So it's like,
Yes.
geeks were the big punching bags of the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s. And then the 80s, the geek culture kind of started to shift more towards their favor. And then the 80s and 90s started pushing like being an outcast is cool, actually. And then 2000s, the geeks started becoming more and more mainstream in pop culture.
Yeah.
So Hank, having grown up in the boomer time period, like I said, they took that Hank and brought him here, where it makes sense that someone who grew up in that time period and didn't take time to appreciate it or even go near it, all they did was bully people who went near it. It would make sense for them to have this visceral reaction, to be like, you're this much of a geek and you're never gonna have kids. I have kids. Well, they're never gonna have kids. Like, yeah, I could believe 2005 Hank would say that, not 2026 Hank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And- Well, so no, now I want to hear what's the big rant that you would have about this episode.
So, like, I vehemently despise that this dude took a VIP pass from someone who paid for it, and everyone supported him. I hate that so.
Oh yeah, it was everybody
that-
versus Hank. When it's just like, meanwhile, like as you brought up with like this is an older Hank. It's like I would imagine he would go, "No, I don't hate you because you're a nerd and you're doing this kind of stuff. You stole something from me. Now give it back before I kick your ass."
The people might hate Hank. They might dislike Hank, but I'm like, maybe I just don't understand nerds and geeks like I used to. Like, would they side with a guy who stole a VIP pass? Like, I've seen so many geeks gang up on convention rule breakers, like online. Like,
it becomes an invasion of the body snatchers when you see somebody break con rules, because that's normally, because when you affect con rules, that means either something's going to be different next year or they might not come back next year. It's like how I remember I read this like a couple years ago. My hometown of Kansas City Comic-Con, they were like, you know what? You can't bring weapons now as part of your costume. And it's like, oh, so, it's like, if it resembles, like, they were even bringing it up to, like, even, like, Jedi cosplayers. Like, you can't bring the lightsaber. And it's like, oh, so, like, you just killed the entire cosplay scene of the convention. Like, this is effectively what you have done. So for somebody to steal somebody's pass, yeah, that guy probably would have gotten jumped.
The guy steals a VIP pass and then tries to use fiction rules to be like, oh, you've insulted my honor. It's like, no, you are taking a real world problem and establishing fiction rules to try to fix it. And everybody sides with him. I'm like, this is okay. I'm a geek and you are making us look awful. Like, this is so awful.
You're making us look like we're out of touch with reality.
We're a bunch of fucking deluded people who can't understand the difference between fiction and reality.
Yeah,
also, it's just straight up victim mentality. He said something mean, so I'm allowed to steal from him because he doesn't deserve this VIP pass. He's like, do you know how hard these are to get and it's wasted on him? I'm like, he didn't buy the freaking pass. His son did. Like, what are you doing? His boss did. His boss in this situation bought him a pass so he could earn money. And you have the gall to steal it from him so you and your family can have a little bit more fun. Oh my goodness.
What lesson are you teaching your children in that instance?
Yeah, you're teaching them that stealing is okay, because as long as you're stealing from the right people. That is horrible.
That is awful. awful episode.
And then going to the security guy, going like, "Oh, he broke the honorable rules. He did what? Oh, we better go find him." And it's just like, what? No, he stole something. Why are
And
all...
then Hank has to make it up to him. Hank has to go and spend his time watching this fictional movie, making sword using real material to make this sword. To if like he came and apologized and been like, that was no excuse for what I did. Like Hank would have had to do a double take and been like, oh, this guy is taking the higher road and I'm not. Maybe I have the wrong thoughts about like how these people act, how my perceived notions about these people.
Yeah.
But this is some self-righteous nonsense that it annoys me so much.
It's that same feeling like I had with the boar hunting business. It feels like the world is like essentially twisting to fit their what the story is trying to tell. And as that was brought up with the idea of like this is now like a older Hank, he shouldn't need to be convinced by Bill that being a sports fan is like a different flavor of nerd, which is just like Bill should not be ever the not the voice of reason, but he shouldn't be the one that's like, yep, we do this thing, so what does that make us different from there? It's like, first off, you're wanting Bill to give the moral lesson of the episode, because I think so. There's our hatred for John Redcorn. There's hatred for Min. I despise Bill with everything that I am, because he is just pathetic.
That's valid.
Like especially like I think I even take it out on the fact that there's that stupid theory that that Bill might actually be Bobby's real dad, and I'm just like, no, I hate you. I hate him even more now.
I don't despise Bill, but there's a lot about Bill that I don't like, and I always get like a little scared to say that because I know so many people really like Bill because he's just looking to he's just looking for affection, and a lot of people empathize with that. But I think it's valid for anyone to really hate Bill, because there are a lot of things that are hateable about him if you can look past the fact that he's a very empathetic person, or empathizable, not empathetic, empathizable.
I think my problem also might be the fact that he goes through the same episode like Bill focused episodes are normally always the goddamn same, like including like he's either having lady problems, he's depressed, or like some other issue like that he's having with himself. They don't like, and then like we'll bring this up later when we talk about the cuddle one. Like it turns out he's just not over Lenore again. And it's like, okay, we're repeating the cycle again for the 15th goddamn time? Because certain characters I do think in the show follow like if an episode is centered around them, they will normally follow like this pattern, and then that'll be the end of it. Like,
I will say I disagree that Bill can't be like the voice of reason. There have been times before where he's been the voice of reason. They usually don't focus on it. Like in this episode, he usually just makes a passing comment. It's just, I think in this episode it's a bit more obvious because that is the moral of the episode. It's not just something you can take away.
Fair enough on that, and the fact they put the spotlight on it immediately made me go, "Shut up, Bill."
But there is a second story to this episode.
I was so focused on that I completely forgot what is the B plot of this episode.
This is the poem episode, the poetry episode.
Oh my god, we blocked that out, didn't we, Jake? We fucking
yes.
so. I was gonna say, if you want to take the lead on that one, go ahead.
One thing I said about season 14 is that Peggy's shenanigans are turned up to like 10. But I'm fine with that because I think they do her really well in season 14. Like they put her in situations where she can be annoying, but they also put her in situations where she can be likable. To me, this is where like that starts to go downhill. Because I just did not appreciate her sabotaging Min's thing. Now I don't like Min. I've made that very clear. I don't like Min in this season. But I think what Peggy did there was just clichély awful, and they don't rectify it. They don't fix it. They just at the end, Min's just like, you owe me money, and they never address it after that. That's just how it ends.
Yeah, and like Peggy going out of her way to like, yep, let me tell Khan about this hot date that she's about to have.
Oh yeah, that's why I was so upset. I forgot why I was so upset about it. It was because the boys were having a fun time with their soup party, and she just comes and ruins it. Like again, what she did to like trying to upset Min, that in itself is bad. But I didn't personally feel like the upsetness from that. I personally felt the upsetness from her ruining a good time with two divorced people who are trying to find like some joy in their life, having fun with their friends, making progress, and her coming in there being like, "Oh, Min's going on a date." Like I got so heated when I saw that.
I think we flat out like when that happened, we just went like, Peggy, come on, like I'd say you're better than this, but you're Peggy Hill, so.
Yeah, I have so many problems with Peggy this season as well. Granted, I've never really liked Peggy that much, but I think this is probably the most I've ever hated her.
Okay, so I think when we were kids, or at least when I was a kid, I found Peggy tolerable. As an adult now, I'm like, oh my god, go away, please, I beg you.
I like Peggy more than I'm annoyed by her, but she does have her moments, and this season is one of her most annoying, in my opinion.
Oh, 100%, I agree with that.
I think it's just easy to point out, like, when, like, she falls flat on her face, I don't feel sorry for her, especially when you really think about all that she's done. Remember, she kidnapped some poor Mexican girl, like, and then, like, because she's so bad at Spanish, like, went up on the stand, like, embarrassed herself, and then she thought she was still going to jail. It's like, all right, like so somebody's ego can only get like encouraged so far before it's just like, okay, you can't do this.
A lot of issues people have with Peggy is because the earlier YouTube reviews that talked about her mentioned that a common thing with her is that she's not expected to change. She's just expected to keep messing up in the same way because it's funny to the show. And sometimes, like in the kidnap episode where she kidnapped the Mexican girl, they try to paint it off as endearing that Hank doesn't expect her to. Hank gives in to her bullheadedness, and a lot of people don't like that, and they shouldn't.
Yeah, it just creates this frustrating loop. And don't get me wrong, there are moments I enjoy. The episode when Peggy basically broke her body like after the skydiving accident, like, and then she's the one that calms GH down is one of my favorite moments involving her, especially because there's those couple of episodes just have such great chemistry, especially like one of my favorite Hank jokes. I've got a narrow urethra. Here's my urethra. Fumbled at the ends. But they're both just drunk. But my biggest problem with Peggy, like with this season, will more come afterwards with the writer, the food critic. That's where was like, that's where I think Peggy was at her absolute worst.
Oh yeah, I have words. I have a lot of words.
Let's see. Look at the episode count. Is there any other points we have on Hank Encounters the Nerd Kind?
None that I can think of at the moment.
Yeah, same.
All right. So, episode 5,
Screw this episode.
The best little
Yeah.
marriage in Texas. Do we want to just get the elephant out of the room and
Good
just talk?
golly, screw this episode.
I think so. Last episode may, you could argue, be the worst. This is my least favorite. Why are John
Go
John Redcorn and Nancy back together? Because Shady, I watched your video about the episode where Dale and Nancy falls back in love with Dale, just to kind of like refresh myself on maybe some of the context of that maybe I was forgetting, and I completely forgot John Redcorn was the one who decided to completely end things. That was his choice ultimately.
It was Neggy. Nancy decided, then she wanted to go back, but Redcorn said no. Then after that, there's another episode called Hair Today, Gone Tomorrow.
Yeah,
where
the hair loss.
John
episode.
Redcorn just completely forgets that he decided to not cheat anymore and tries to seduce Nancy. Nancy almost gives into it because she's losing her hair, and an affair will help her de-stress and keep it. But she ultimately decides not to because Dale reminds her that he loves her so much despite his looniness. This episode, the best little marriage in Texas, this episode, this is proof to me. I suspected it before, but this is proof to me that the writers of this new series don't know the original show. They just know the memes.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, this is where everyone was at their most flanderized.
Yeah.
Because John Redcorn and Nancy, them continuing the affair, not acknowledgement that they took a long break, just them continuing, says to me that the person who wrote this episode just knows about the affair because that's a popular meme of King of the Hill, and doesn't know that they broke it off at, what was it, season 3? I think it was. Out of 13 seasons, it was really early. Out of 13 seasons,
yeah, and especially considering Dale helped. What was it? He helped get like at least part of John Redcorn's people's land back, or something like that, or he was helping him in the process of doing it. And there was that act of kindness, especially after all what John Redcorn did to Dale. Granted, Dale obviously didn't know, but like even still, he's just like, no, I can't do this anymore. You've been too kind to me. You're a good person, and I've done so much wrong to you. I can't do it anymore. But except after the episode, it's like, oh no, wait a minute, hold on, I actually can do this.
So plot synopsis, just a reminder, this is where Hank and Peggy, they volunteer at their church, and they wind up working for the couples counselor, but Peggy gets jealous because Nancy and Dale are leading the couples counselor, and Peggy doesn't like not leading something. And there's a whole kerfuffle where she and Hank wind up spilling the beans to the Reverend that Nancy and John Redcorn are having an affair. And no, that's the A plot. B plot is about Bobby with his audition show, which I also have words for.
I don't even believe that like they would openly talk about like the affair, like especially while Hank is blindfolded, like to talk about it so casually, because Nancy and Dale could be like 5 feet away for all he knows.
To Hank's defense, he thought Peggy was keeping lookout. And Peggy gets distracted very easily.
I mean, but that's something that Hank should know about. Like, you should know about his wife's like very short attention span when it comes to, especially when she's frustrated.
I mean, he should, but he does trust her. Like, I think that is a trait of Hank, that he trusts Peggy, and it's kind of a misguided trust just because she's his wife and he's supposed to. So this is where like my politics shine through, because this episode to me showed that the show wants to go a bit more liberal in its messaging. I got so heated in this episode because they are talking about Nancy and Dale's relationship, and Peggy says, well, they're still married, they're still together, so maybe they know something we don't. And I wanted to break something. I'm like, that is the stupidest logic. They're still married because she's lying to him. Dale doesn't know everything. Like if Nancy had confessed and then they were still married, then you'd have a point because they worked through this really bad thing that's happening in their marriage. The fact that she's been lying to him for years and their son is not his. They worked through it. That you'd have a point. But this episode is trying to portray it like, oh, it's not that bad that she's sleeping with another man for like a decade now. No, it's already been over a decade when Joseph was born. So
Yeah,
close to 2 decades.
Hank says explicitly 20 years.
It's someone to me trying to say it's having an affair in a marriage is not that bad, and they're trying to use this show to say it. This show that has always portrayed Nancy's affair as a bad thing, even when it could have good consequences, like her not losing her hair. They've always portrayed it as a bad thing. This time they're trying to show it as a good thing, or not as bad as people make it out to be thing. And I think that's disgusting. I think that is an absolutely disgusting, like if you have a relationship with someone that's non-conventional, I try not to judge you because that's between you and them. But if you're hiding a sexual relationship from your marriage partner, that's bad. That's bad.
I think we have basically a strong stance against cheaters, mainly.
Yes, very, very much so.
And hence why I just laughed at the concept of like, yes, Dale and Nancy will now like teach people how to have a better marriage. And I would like, if I was in the room, I'd just be staring at Nancy the whole time, like that Always Sunny meme where Charlie and Mac are looking at each other from across the restaurant. I'd just be like, so you're gonna show me how to have a good marriage, huh?
Also, it makes sense that the younger couples would listen to Nancy and Dale because they're younger couples. They don't know Nancy and Dale, so they don't know about their situation. But a running joke of the original show was that anyone looking at the Gribble family could tell that Nancy was doing something wrong. Peggy couldn't, but that was a joke about her, that it took her so long to figure it out.
Yeah, Hank even
so
says,
the fact
like,
that Reverend Stroop doesn't know that they had an affair when John Redcorn used to go to their church and sit next to Nancy, the fact that she just finds out now, I'm like, again, I think you guys didn't actually watch the show. I don't think you actually know what happened in the original show. I think you just know about the memes.
Or they only focused on the surface level thing, because even in season 14, it's like, I'm the only white guy on the crew, and Amelia's gonna say something, and Bobby holds up a finger, because he's like, no, don't say anything, like, we know.
Yeah. Which, I mean, like, maybe I can understand keeping it from Joseph after all these years, but the fact that, I know Joseph's not smart, but he probably should have figured it out by now, or at least something's wrong.
Well, yeah, I think that's why they tried to cover their asses by making him so fundamentally stupid that he forgot to pay the power bill.
I mean, there are some little hints that he might figure it out, but he keeps getting pushed into the wrong direction, particularly by Dale. And there's also in the Thanksgiving episode, Spin the Choice, they kind of hint that Nancy told him, but they never stick with that, because he says, Mom told me about your people's heritage. She told me a lot of things, and they just leave that blank, kind of hinting that she told him that who John Redcorn really is. But then they don't stick with that.
No. And also, but here's the thing: if Joseph finds out, I mean, Dale finds out.
If Joseph finds out, they can't keep doing their joke.
Yeah, exactly. And granted, there is the meme and the theory that Dale has always known, but instead of, like, you know, divorcing Nancy and doing you know, all the things that normally would happen, he's like, no, I'm gonna raise Joseph as my own son to spite John Redcorn, fully knowing that John Redcorn wants to spend time with Joseph, but he can't to the extent of which he wants to, because as far as he's concerned and Nancy is concerned, they think that he thinks Joseph is his biological son. So it's like, which would be funny, but I don't think it would make much sense.
I think it would somewhat be. I think it would be isolatedly funny,
Yes,
at the expense of ruining a lot of other jokes.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's not a theory I'm a fan of. I understand why people want it to happen because they really want John
I
Redcorn to get screwed over, but I don't want it.
I'm more of a fan of it just because logically that makes sense. He has cameras everywhere. How's he not seen them?
Well, the believability has shown that he's an idiot, and he is a trusting idiot to John Redcorn specific. John Redcorn and Nancy, those two specifically is trusting. That is consistent with his character. So yeah, he does have cameras everywhere, but if he sees John, like there's that one episode, he literally caught John Redcorn sneaking into Nancy's room, and he said, "Hurry up and get inside. I'm trying to stalk for people."
One of my favorite. Oh, that actually just reminded me of the episode where I think this was either in season 1 or season 2, where he's trying to get Hank is trying to get Luann out of the den, and it's the episode where he really bonds with Luann, and she ends up moving into Boomhauer's place for a little bit. And it's the dang it, this place is turning into Melrose Place. And as he's heading inside, John Redcorn jumps out the window. So fair enough. It's just been a really bizarre like through line that the show has had this whole time, for me at least.
I really, really despise it. I don't know if I despise this one more or the previous one more. And again, that was just the A story. There's still the B story.
With Bobby auditioning for, what was it, King of the Grill? Was that what the show was called?
Yeah, which I appreciated the wordplay. It's like, all right, that's pretty funny.
So with him doing that and then having that fake relationship with that girl, I don't even remember her name.
I have my own issues. Yeah, with Reality Bites. That's the episode she's from.
Like that B plot is kind of whatever. Like it's just something that happens. Bobby completely ruining something he agreed to do. That's not something I agree with. I think he shouldn't have agreed to do it in the first place. But the big issue I have with that segment is actually not that. It's that Bobby wouldn't know what's like how to behave on TV. Wasn't that in the past episode as well, where he was auditioning for it? But both that episode where he was auditioning and this episode, he doesn't know what pleases people. I'm like, Bobby studied a lot of comedy.
Yeah,
and even in last season, like he was being very theatrical with a lot of stuff. Like, I don't know why they just randomly have moments where he can't be entertaining. He's an entertainer, like at heart.
Yes.
Hell, I bet you when he was making Robotachan, he probably thought like, I wonder if I could make it like one of those like similar to like a Japanese steakhouse where I like make an onion volcano or something. He is part of him will always be that entertainer. Like he never gave up on comedy. There was one of my favorite episodes being the where they went to the Cowboys practice arena, and it's like, well, at least you're not moving to Oklahoma. Well, I may have a home there for tax purposes.
The because you talking about him, maybe he wanted to open a hip. I think it's I was gonna say maybe he wanted to open a hibachi. I think that's what the grill is called. And I think he has a hibachi. But the restaurants are often called hibachis. But in the first episode of season 14, he shows he has that kind of skill when he goes to the college barbecue and cooks for them. Like, shows he knows how to entertain a crowd. So I don't know why they just like sometimes are just like, oh no, he's a boring kid. He doesn't know how to do anything.
Oh yeah, the idea of anyone who sees Bobby Hill and thinks that he's boring, then it's almost one of those things of like, he's not boring, you're boring. Like, because he is, even when he's doing something like when he was a kid and he was doing the meat judging contest. It's like, yeah, he clearly knows what he's doing, and he knows how to entertain people.
He has always had showmanship. Like, all right, I'm done.
So that's pretty much all I had to say about Little Marriage in Texas. And I understand, like, they were trying to advise for younger couples. So, like, I actually think neither Nancy and Dale or Hank and Peggy are qualified for that kind of stuff. 'Cause they
Oh wait,
just-
I lied. Oh, sorry. Go.
No, I was just gonna bring up the whole, like, the generational gap. It's just we, like, relationships and dating in general has just been fundamentally different between, like, how they interacted versus, like, how our generation interacts. Like, granted,
That's a good point.
stuff is changing, don't get me wrong, but, like, circumstances of how we meet people are entirely different. Like, we've never met in person, yet we're having this conversation. Like, it's so that does extend to, like, how, like, there's, you can offer the fundamentals, of course, and, like, that's just the basic stuff, but then there's always going to be something that they won't be able to really relate to, because, like, of the possibly the extenuating circumstances in which these couples have met.
That's a I think that's a good point. My brain was kind of leaning towards a point like that when they were talking about, like, why didn't Hank stay home and support Peggy? And they're like, that's just what you did back in those days. I'm like, I hate it when they make conservatives give that answer, when they just say that's just what you did. It's like, no, some people will likely say that because they don't know why they're doing stuff. But, like, if you want to form an argument, you have to actually explain why that stuff was done in mass, because it usually has a reason rather than it's just tradition. But I just remember something that also made me upset with this episode, which is that they put Hank and Peggy in charge, and then Hank and Peggy are like, let's scheme a way to get Dale and Nancy back in charge since we ruined their chances. And they come up with a boat exercise, and then they're talking the boat exercise, and they're like, just because someone is flawed, it doesn't mean we can judge them. And I hate this talking point about Christianity so much, because people who don't know Christianity, they know the verse "Thou shalt not judge," and they think that just means you're not allowed to tell somebody they're doing something wrong. And I'm like, that's not what that means ultimately. Um, I don't want to get too much into what it means. Like, on the surface level, just a surface interpretation, it means you're given the same mercy that you give to others. It doesn't
Right.
mean you should just let people do whatever they want.
Yeah.
But there's more research to it than that. That's a basic surface interpretation. But also, the point of them was to show that Nancy and Dale are capable, and they have a lesson about sinking the boat. And Dale drops the tools. So
Yeah,
this thing happens because of Dale, not because of Hank.
I was thinking
Yeah.
about that. It was just like, man, you guys just did everything you could, and yet he still screwed it up. Like, and, like, I kind of appreciated some of the other couples. The fact they were asking those questions was interesting, but then, yeah, as you brought up, like, they didn't really answer it very well. It creates this weird back and forth that it's like, we almost just don't have the time to really get into that. Like, meaning, like, the show doesn't have time to get into that, but it's like, but you're the one that brought it up, show.
Mm-hmm. I mean, a good answer would have been, like, even if I had other things I wanted to do, I was better at being a homemaker
Exactly.
than Hank. So we did our spots best. But Peggy just answers with, "I made my choice and I'm happy with it."
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Yeah, which is so bizarre and reductive. Especially
Yeah.
considering, like, they've been a team for so long that this, like, their relationship comes as naturally as breathing. Like, because the episode where Bobby learns to essentially be a time of a homemaker, hence why he learns to cook and all that stuff, like, it is, like, one, it's one of the only episodes in which Peggy faces any real consequence, and then has the moment where Hank says, like, I didn't marry you for your homemaking skills. It was for the the love and such things. Like he tries to say, like, Hank truly does love his wife, like without any second doubts.
And you saying that just reminded me. Peggy wanted to be a homemaker.
Yes.
She felt it was her responsibility to be a homemaker as a wife, but she also wanted, like, she was proud of her homemaking skills, which is why she gets so upset at Bobby. She wasn't the best homemaker. In fact, when she first met Hank, she was a very bad homemaker, but she wanted to be one.
It's almost as if, like, when you have all this knowledge of these shows, you can, like, you understand that, like, these characters have history.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
It is kind of scary to the average person. You remember this shit that happened? You remember this one singular standalone episode from like 10 years ago? Yes. Yes,
As a
I
matter
do.
of fact, I do, with like almost perfect memory. Why do you ask?
I was on a different podcast and they were talking about how today's shows would be called woke, and they're like, reviewers have just they have no memory of the old shows they used to watch. They're just nostalgia blind. I'm like, excuse me, as a self-proclaimed man-child, I find that offensive. I definitely have memories of all of these shows you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's like
Same.
a man child. It's like that's when we normally make the like. That's when it's like I'm just autistic. I just remember this stuff.
And they're like, you haven't watched these things in years. I'm like, I watched it yesterday. What are you talking about?
Oh yeah,
I watched the Teen Titan episode with the racist spaceman. I remember what
Oh,
I
God.
watched that recently.
let's see. Yeah, I think that's it for that one. So in the next
I
episode,
have like
oh,
one
yes.
bit of one. Sorry, well, I have one little positive thing. It is surface level and it is purely subjective. I love it when Hank derives a great enjoyment out of basic things.
Oh, I was hoping that the like so like because as somebody who enjoys I like working with my hands as well. Like I like working on my Jeep and they're like I like painting miniatures. There's always something so satisfying about working with one's hands, and then he's just like, yes, I get to do this thing.
I like it as well, but I think for me, it's more of I like seeing someone who I know they're passionate about something and they get to work with that passion. I know Hank is passionate about building things in general, so I love seeing him work with that.
Especially like because it's like, oh no, they're gonna force me to do manual labor and rebuild something. Whatever shall I do? All right, we can move on now. I just wanted to bring that up. It brings me great joy.
No, that's fair. Let's see. The next episode's the menopause one. I didn't really have any strong opinions on that one, mainly because like what else could be? So it's that I'm quickly pulling the episode up actually because I'm trying to remember what all happened in it.
Changes. So the episode starts with Peggy and Hank preparing for a golf tournament, and things start going wrong for Peggy. She starts feeling her age. And what inevitably winds up like she doesn't want to accept that this stuff is happening. She wants to push through it, which is typical Peggy. But what inevitably happens is she injures herself during the golf tournament, and that breaks her. That mentally breaks her. And Hank, throughout the entire episode, is completely willing to do whatever it takes to make his wife comfortable. But when he sees that she's completely given up, that puts him in a state of fear because he's never seen his wife like this. And what he ultimately winds up doing is he ultimately winds up driving out of state to get some drugs for her, just because he's just trying everything he can think of. But it's that act that snaps Peggy out of it. She still has to go through menopause, but she realizes Hank loves her so much that he's willing to do all this stuff for her. And then there's the B plot of there's the B plot of Bill acting kind of like a dog, and the boys think Con is turning him into a dog.
That was so
so strange,
so
man.
we thought that was going to be a different direction. Then it's like, no, he's actually like gonna like Khan is gonna trick Bill into giving up his independence so he could take the house. It's like Khan, like first off, if you wanted to fleece Bill out of something, it's not that hard to do so because it's Bill. He's probably the easiest to trick. And then secondly, so with the A plot, I appreciate most of it. Like it's again another example of like how wonderful their relationship can be at times, and then also like the changes that one has when they're going through a very important stage of life. And I think the joke that cracked me up was when they found out that one of the signs is your feet get bigger. It's like oh no, that destroyed her because like it's a size 9 men's, correct? Like that's actually like what her shoe size is.
I
Yeah.
thought she was a 13, but I could be wrong.
She has a man's her feet are, she has a man-sized foot.
She had to drive down to Mexico to so just so that she could have somebody make shoes for her. And then there was the episode where she hangs out with a bunch of drag queens, and then they're able to help her find like shoes and stuff. Like it was funny. It's like, oh no, her feet are getting even bigger. Oh no, because that would devastate her so much.
16 women's size. I don't know what it is in men's.
16 women's. That's huge. I think that's translates to. You know what? We have the infinite knowledge machine. Give me a second.
Yeah.
But while he's looking that up, this was an okay episode for me. I'd put it if I had to separate these between good and bad, I put this on the good episode. I love a supportive spouse. So Hank doing all that stuff I really loved. And I do have an issue with it, but not enough for me to say it's a bad episode, which is that Peggy is the one who needs to go through an arc, but Hank is doing all the work. And I think that kind of works.
Yes, she's almost a passenger in her own arc. Yeah, I can definitely see where that's the issue. And it's go ahead.
I found it. So a U.S. women's size 16 typically converts to men's size 14.5 or 15, depending on the brand's specific sizing system. Peggy's feet are the same size as mine.
Oh my god. So yeah, it is almost like she is a passenger in her own arc. That is kind of unfortunate. As far as the action, like the problem, like is one of those times where it's like I'm not a woman, so I can't really talk about like the that many things about the when it comes to menopause. I'm sure it's probably not a great time. That's all I can say on that.
I know the lawful side of me was annoyed at the ultimate solution, which wasn't really a solution. It was just the final thing Hank did. But as I get older, like my brain shifts to if they're not hurting anyone, including themselves, like why should I care?
And oh yeah, I grew up in the relatively the same thing. I'm very anti-drug type stuff, and meanwhile I see, and now as an adult I'm like, I just see a box of joints just right next to me. I'm like, yeah, like it's not hurting anyone, and in this case it's not legal where they are now, but it's legal on literally the other state, so it's not like it's like accessing it is that like they're gonna get it. Like,
and they were not hurting anyone. Like they were at night away from everyone else. So I'm like, it's not hurting anyone, and they're literally doing it to make themselves feel better. So
and plus it has one of my favorite shots of the revival, which is all the ladies like sitting in the alley.
But I think one thing that could have made the episode better is if that solution was suggested to Hank very early in the episode, and he was like, "No, we're not doing that. We have Peggy is strong. We don't need to do that. And then it gradually gets to the point where he has to do that. And Peggy can, because we know Hank would never do that. But
Right.
if they just emphasize it at the beginning of the episode, then it hits harder that Peggy can see that Hank was willing to do all this stuff for her. I don't know if that'd be the best solution, but I think it would be like better than what we got. Because like I said, I don't like that Peggy's so passive, but is the one going through an arc.
Yeah, I can definitely see it. Outside of that, I didn't really have any issues. What was the con subplot? I actually kind of I keep forgetting about it, and then I'm just like I forget about it, and then I rethink about it, and I'm just like I don't care. Like
Same thing I said before. I don't think Khan would do that, but guilty pleasure. I like that he's trying to be a positive influence on Bill's life. I like that he decided to stay with Bill, even though he could have moved out.
oh
Out
yeah,
of character, but guilty pleasure.
yeah, I appreciate it as well. I can appreciate it on like a surface level. I think that's all I really have on that episode. I'm kind of waiting for Jake to come back if he has any not lasting thoughts. If he had any last second additions. So we're more than halfway through like the season, and it's like, man, these are a lot more duds than like positives. Like the most it's
Yeah.
able to get out of us is a meh, or at least for me and
Yeah.
Jake, that's what it was.
Yeah, as sort of my thoughts in the last episode, you guys covered pretty much all of it. I don't really have much to give. It is really, I mean, like the Khan stuff and how like he was. I guess it's less on Khan, I guess, and more on Bill for being such a weirdo that his behavior is indistinguishable from a dog's when like you're applying these methods. I don't really it's just I don't know. I just find it I find it incredibly strange.
I also
I
thought.
just
Go ahead.
I would say it's just more on Dale and Boomhauer. Just like ask.
Oh yeah, because their interpretation of it. Yeah, they didn't ask. True.
I didn't ask, and also like like I read something entirely different on it. I just straight up thought it's like, are they trying? For the longest time throughout this, when I found out that that Khan had moved in with Bill, I just straight up thought I was like, are they trying to go for like this weird like almost 2.5 men situation? Except they're not related, of course. Where it's like it's almost like they're like this weird partnership, and then it just turns out like no, he's just trying to be nice to him so that he can eventually move out, and then it turns out he's just actually like seemingly his friend. That's pretty much all I had to say about that one. What's the next episode? Hank ruffles some feathers. I didn't really have that many strong feelings about it. Basically, it's a nice bonding episode between Boomhauer and Luke Jr. The problem being is that like Luke Jr. kind of didn't really exist that much outside of like the soccer episode in season 14. So I guess more like we get to spend more time with him, and we get to finally like see the relationship that Boomhauer has with with Luke Jr. and it's okay for the most part. Like it's because I forgot, was it ever revealed like are they just still dating, or are they like they're moving on to the next step? Hence why Boomhauer is like spending like extended periods of time with Luke Jr.
I think they're trying to move to the next step.
The next step would still be like dating, if that's the case, but I don't think like marriage is anywhere in there. They're probably getting closer to moving in together, but I don't think that was mentioned.
Right. I didn't quite understand it as much, but so it's them trying to bond, and then because Dale is sick of stealing Hank's eggs. That's okay. So we know for a fact that the Hills don't have as like a tight of security, hence why Khan and Min were able to just bone in their kitchen. But I don't know, like it was a little odd to me. That's like, yeah, Dale just comes and goes into their house and just takes their eggs just for almost like for all of his protein. It's like you're still skinny as a motherfucker with all of this. And thus he gets a chicken coop. He gets all the go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I don't have too much strong about the A plot. I think it's a standard, typical King of the Hill.
Yeah.
The B plot is where the whole mascot thing comes in, and we've gone over that one. The only thing I took issue with the A plot because it was something I felt they didn't need to put in, and they were too scared to go any real direction with it. Was the Texans being like, oh, female chicken can't be in a rooster crowing because it's just like trans sports. And I'm like, really? We're doing this? And Hank says
weird.
the very obvious thing, like, this isn't gender, this is literally a change of sex. But they want to say stupid Texans are stupid or something, and they just keep pushing
not even a change of sex. It was just a change of phenotypic expression. Like the reproductive organs are the same because I looked it up. It's just that physically, just in terms of like the feather coloration and the can't remember what the crest and the thing at the bottom of the chest, the little fleshy bits that the chickens have for display, is that of a rooster. It's still a hen. But like it just went through like a genetic mutation that's 1 in 10,000. That like that physically, just on the outwards appearance, it looks like a rooster.
Yeah, I felt like they shouldn't have even bothered to put that in there. But if they were going to put it in there, they should have gone like a more real route with it. It just felt like they just wanted a reason to like kick conservative Texans. Because King of the Hill loves its stereotypes. So you mentioned changing genders or sex. Texas is conservative, so they're probably going to have issue with that if you're talking about humans. So I just think that was unnecessary. But other than that, the A plot just felt like a typical King of the Hill. I like something I really liked was the ending shot of Boomhauer's girlfriend and their son. I didn't like that she was like, you can break some things on the list, just don't tell me about it. But I understand that. I understand that mentality. But I just had a little chuckle at her touching the hen and getting immediately allergic to it. And she's so terrified that that's going to happen to her son. That's why she has all these rules, because it constantly happens to her. I was like, oh, that's actually pretty funny. And they don't even bother explaining. They just show it. That's good show, don't tell.
Yeah, it was a fantastic end-all joke where it's like even he like immediately knows to plot the EpiPen. Let's see. Yeah, like then we addressed the B plot. Yeah, I kind of appreciated this episode like a little bit. I didn't love it nor hate it that much. And then like even if they were to say like they were trying to talk about like conservatism, they kind of killed the argument almost immediately by the fact that that chicken lost the crowing contest. They were like, oh yeah, it can compete, and then it lost immediately. So it's like almost like it was throwing it a bone. And it's just like, what are you trying to say? Why do this half-assing? Just like either not have it, or you may as well have full on sent it.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much like that's the I think that might be the episode we have the least to talk about, because we kind of already brought up the mascot stuff. So the next episode, no cuddle offense. So
oh my god.
We've got a Bill-centered episode, which can be normally hit or miss. One of my favorite Bill-centered episode is the Christmas one where he actually tries to commit self-deletion, and it shows like their true commitment to Bill as friends. Like I did appreciate like what that would do. This I feel like is trying to do this something similar, but it's not really done that well. And I think I brought this up earlier. The leader or the business owner for the cuddle place looks almost like 1-to-1 like Lenore. Like I'm about to pull up like a picture from the episode, and then a picture from Lenore from the episode of when Bill was dating the governor. I swear, 1-to-1. And then there's the B plot. Who would like to while I pull up these images? Who would like to talk about the B plot?
I think I should go first because I feel like
Yeah.
he has a rant.
I have a rant for the A plot. I have such a rant for the A plot, but go ahead, Shady.
You didn't have a rant for the B plot, the Peggy plot.
The Peggy plot. Oh,
The thing that kind of shits all over the idea of objective journalism and that.
Oh my god,
kind of
this
stuff.
is the, I'm sorry, I completely forgot that this was a,
This is the food critic episode, which really bugged us.
So
Okay,
I'll just
alright.
say quickly because
Go ahead, Neil.
I think your rant's gonna be more intense than mine. This is another episode where people are like, oh, this finally happens. Somebody finally addresses Peggy's biasness and stuff. And I'm like, again, I don't think you're looking at the execution because it's not that good. And honestly, that's the best I can say about it. I'm honestly eager to hear y'all's thoughts on it.
I understand that Peggy Hill is a strange creature in and of herself, in the sense of someone will say a thing, her brain will process it in a way by rearranging letters and like what it means in order to fulfill whatever preconceived notion she has. So what like needs to be studied to just much more extensively. But when her son literally says, "Do not talk to this person. Do not go near this person. Don't interact with this person at all." She then decides to make a big like scene in the restaurant, as if that as if that will somehow like help or whatever. That there's just this random woman in there just like loudly praising the food. Sure, I guess. But then like the guy comes up to her and like she interacts with him anyways. And then of course obviously it's like, "Oh, you're Bobby Hill's mom. Okay. I can't be objective about this review or whatever, right?" And then logically, that should be the end of that. But then Peggy decides to go to his office and talk with him. And then we learn, completely violating what Bobby asked her to do because Peggy Hill operates on an access that no living being can truly comprehend. It's absolutely fascinating. And then she talks to him, and it's revealed that she gave him a failure on his report, and this guy who's presumably Bobby's age, like 21, 22, has held this grudge for like 11, 12 years, to the point where it goes so bad that apparently Peggy's such a bad teacher that she didn't even explain to this kid why his essay about Beowulf was so, I believe it was about Beowulf, was so bad. Excuse me, the cat has jumped onto the TV screen, onto the TV stand. My apologies. The cat is now down from the TV stand.
I found the picture, by the way.
Yeah, but and Peggy just decides to make the things worse, and then he writes the review, and it's like a really bad review against Bobby, and then Bobby just goes, "I told you not to do this," and then this is your fault. And then Peggy Hill decides, granted, she decides to go and talk to him again. Granted, she has a plan this time, but still, regardless, none of this would have had to have been done if Peggy, for once in her life, or not once in her life, but you know what I mean, for once in this season, decided to think like a normal functioning Homo sapien, right? To think like a human being. Because I'm convinced Peggy is some offshoot of humanity that people don't understand because it's just how she takes in the world. All right? If she respected her son's wishes, and hell, I could even put it on Bobby. Maybe Bobby shouldn't even went to even talk to his mom about the guy that's there to bring it to her attention. Maybe that's partially on him.
I'd actually argue Bobby should have just kicked his mom out of the restaurant for the day. Just go eat somewhere else, I beg you.
Like literally give her like I don't know, like $100 or something. It's like, please go eat somewhere else. I don't trust you here to do any of this, to be here. But all Peggy had to do was ignore this person. That's it.
That would require for her to not be the center of attention, though, Jake.
She has to be the center of attention this entire time, and it has, and this has been the problem with Peggy through the entire season, is that she never learns, is that she will do a thing or say a thing that will cause immense consequences for her and other people, and then she'll just go, that wasn't actually my fault, or whatever voice she has in her head, whatever fucking rampant AI has been injected into her into her cerebral cortex, or whatever the explanation you might want to headcanon is. It is like the perfect culmination of everything wrong with Peggy in this season, is that she lives in her own fucking world. She doesn't bother to learn anything. It's like the Principal Skinner meme, you know. It's like perhaps,
am I out of touch?
No.
It's the children.
Am I out of touch? Is it me? No, it's the children who are wrong. Except it's Peggy's fault, because none of this would have happened if she just listened to her fucking son. It's the most I've hated Peggy, I think, in this entire episode. And the fact that apparently she was also like a good teacher, just not in Spanish this entire time, because she's like comprehensively going over what was wrong with this his essay or whatever from like 12 years ago or some shit. It's the weirdest thing ever. It's just some of these weird circumstances compounded by the distillation of why I don't like Peggy 90% of the time. I hate this woman, at least this version of her, this hyper flanderized version of her. I wish her socks to be perpetually wet and a size too small.
So what you're telling me is you hate women.
Would you give the episode some leeway to play devil's advocate for the fact that the lesson is she should look over her do a double take over her actions?
No. I think my problem is that it's almost too little too late.
That is a lesson she should have learned years ago. It's like, you know, it'd be like trying to think of I don't know. It'd be like, I'm sorry, I'm too heated. I can't think of a good example. Like, I guess I'll pass it off to someone else. But like, it's like, oh, I need to look over to take a double take of like, oh, maybe I should think about my actions. You are nearly 60 years old, woman.
And
how have you not figured this out by now?
And then you've gone through the point menopause. Where it's even she hasn't gotten through it. She's going.
You're going through menopause. You've reached a stage in your life. You are entering, or you have gone past the last half of your life. You are damn near 60 years old. How have you not learned this by now?
Yeah, like I said, it might be for me, it's definitely an instance of too little, too late, because and like it's like to bring up like her kidnapping the child, for example. I don't think she is ever like I I don't think she's ever. I think even a line in the episode is I don't apologize for anything because I don't do anything wrong. I think at one point she, not in that particular episode I'm just referencing, but in this one, because Bobby says something and she takes offense to it when it's like, no, it's the truth. You are flawed as a person, and you need, like, this has been essentially a long time coming, but but she's rewarded uh from this instead of act properly punished.
So the episode wants Peggy to learn that she is flawed. Which there are episodes that have put this on the forefront. Usually she's dealing with a flaw she doesn't want to address, uh, like the fact that she got scammed by not really scammed, but she tricked herself with the drag queens. Um,
Right
but
back.
the issue is it's kind of ignoring Peggy's biggest flaw, or alongside the fact that she thinks she's flawless, which is that she just needs to be considerate. She doesn't consider what other people are feeling or saying. She and that's what caused the entire incident here, is that she wasn't considerate. But the episode wants to point to the fact that she's not uh thinking of herself as flawed. So it thinks the inciting incident is her giving the kid a bad grade, when really the inciting incident is she reminded him that she gave him a bad grade because she couldn't consider Bobby's stance of her not bothering the guy. So she never really learns the lesson that the inciting incident should have taught her, which is to consider what other people are telling her.
Yeah. Then there's also its own can of worms of well, that journalist is just shit at his job. He let a bias of a previous teacher that just happens to, like, he tried to do the smart thing of he just got out of the restaurant. He's like, all right, conflict of interest, I'm out, which is the smart thing to do, until she then badgers him. It's like, don't worry, I'll write that review, and he just rips like Robota-chan to fucking pieces, and it's like, oh, congratulations, you've now tainted like like any ethical stance you would now have as a journalist and as a critic, because you let your emotions get in the way of objective fact. And it's like, oh, like, which is something we've dealt with quite a lot here, like, so, like especially like when it comes to other subjects. I don't think I could be a food critic. Food is either edible or it is not. I was homeless. That's literally like, I can either eat it or I cannot. But like that's why we focus on movies. In this case, that guy's whole job is to review foods and review restaurants, and he broke, like he broke. Not, I almost said the sacred vow. He is essentially chosen to let a grudge from when he was a child override his duty to tell the truth and to be honest. Like
And
that really pissed me off, actually. Like, because, like, there's also so many times where it's just like, why does Peggy keep being let into his office? Like, how come she just gets to walk in wherever she fucking wants to? Because there should have been a point where it's like, while she's grading the paper right in front of him, he's not sitting there and just going, please just leave my office. Like,
and
Go ahead.
they completely ignore the ramifications, because it's one thing for the dude to write a biased take. It's another thing for him to literally say he would write a biased take. Now imagine if Ted Wasanasan found out about that. Oh, that's a lawsuit just waiting to happen.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's a lawsuit waiting to happen. He is like almost duty bound to make sure that man loses his job.
Like, he is not only threatening the dude's restaurant, but he works for a big newspaper, or probably not newspaper, a media company, that's just money on the table. I feel like Ted would capitalize on that since he admitted to the woman that that's what he's doing.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So basically, almost all parties are at fault here. One, Bobby didn't get his mom out of the fucking restaurant. Peggy for not leaving everything alone, and then this journalist for basically breaking his deal to like be an objective critic.
Yeah, Bobby would have had to have made a completely emotion-free decision, like a complete leadership decision, where they say good leaders they can put aside empathy and sympathy. He would have had to completely put aside his feelings for his mom because that was he knew what was coming, and he still let her sit at a table near the dude too. Couldn't even have sat her like on the opposite side.
Yeah.
What's funny is, yeah, even as an adult now, he's like, Bobby seems to be more willing to stand up for himself. Well, obviously that's what happens when you're an adult. You're more willing to stand up against your parents' ideals on an issue, more so than when you were a kid. So we noticed that with the NerdCon episode, Bobby was very much willing to be like, Dad, no, you are the problem here. And then in this episode, it's like, no, he could have just said, Mom, I need you to fuck off.
I mean, in
nice
regards
way,
to
of
the cuddle plot, I don't like it, but like objectively speaking, usually Bill annoys me when his hindrances affect other people. This time around, the boys were like, he was doing his own thing, and the boys just saw he was self-sabotaging. So it didn't annoy me personally, but it is weird when you're talking about cuddling with a grown man. But
oh yeah, we straight thought he was going to a prostitute. We actually thought like it meant something else.
I'm shocked they did this and not like OnlyFans, because Bill would be completely susceptible to it. But I guess this is like the toned down version of it.
Oh yeah, Bill would totally be someone you scam with OnlyFans.
Oh
my fall for that.
You're right. I think if I had to guess something, it feels like there was actually a different sort of through line with this episode, because I just, like I said, I can't ignore it. I even have it on screen for everybody else. They look 1-to-1. I thought Bill was supporting this business because it was Lenore. Like, the only key difference I've noticed with the pictures is the chin is a bit different. But at the same time, like, people soften with age, so there's a possibility that, I don't know, she just got a new chin. But that's beside the point. Like, it's almost 1-to-1 with, like, who, like, she used to look like. So I thought he was like, oh, Lenore's starting this business. I will pour everything I have into it for her. It's still an issue because, again, as we mentioned previously, he's gotten over Lenore. Kind of.
I think the likeness is unintentional because like no one really draws any attention to it. Like Hank would have been the one that goes, this lady looks like your ex-wife, Bill.
Yeah, it's clearly coincidental, but it's enough for, at the very least, my autistic ass to go like, was there a different plot line you guys were trying to work in, and then you just pivoted at the last possible second? So it really is just, he's just so starved for attention, he'd rather lose his house and all of his stuff just to achieve some level of affection.
My money's on it being accidental, but it could be just a reference. I doubt that, but it's a possibility.
Other than that, I thought it was fine. Like it's definitely him kind of losing his mind. They could have worked on that a bit better, and they probably could have played up a lot more jokes of the fact that Dale is definitely enabling him because he's just taking all his shit.
Yeah. I'm just surprised they didn't try and like fund his dates sooner, or try and like or maybe they have, and I'm not really remembering or like anything, but like I could have sworn like most of the time the guys are just like looking at Bill and kind of going, "We love you, man, but you're kind of weird," instead of going, "All right, we're gonna set you up on a date, and we're gonna fund your dates like for the next like couple dates. We are gonna get you." Oh, we're gonna get you a woman, someone who will put up
They
with
are
you.
they are so like that's kind of just a problem with the show in general. They are both simultaneously Bill's bestest best friends in the whole wide world, and also can't fucking stand him. Remember, there's the episode where he gave them all lice.
Um, yeah, that's right. Bill somehow gave them lice. I mean, granted,
Well,
he
no,
still had
not
his hair,
somehow.
but
No, Bill gave them lice because he dunked his hand into basically a bin of other people's hair.
oh, that's right.
Dale and Bill, in my opinion, work as friends. But the dynamic between Bill, Dale, Hank, and Boomhauer, it's always felt off to me because Hank, more often than not, just can't stand Bill and Dale. Like they get on his nerves way more than they entertain him, and that's why, like, I constantly call out whenever there's a genuine moment of friendship, like not like canned friendship. Like I
The
feel in this
Japan
episode.
episodes, you mean? Like, have you been working out? What do you mean? You look great. Like there's just weird
Well,
moments.
Dale and Bill just have personalities that play off of each other. Like even when Dale's being mean to Bill, it still feels like they're friends. It's kind of like when Eddie is mean to Ed and Ed and Eddie. Like it still feels like these are two people who would hang around each other.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't feel like Hank would hang around Dale and Bill, and he says he hangs around Bill because he feels obligated to. I don't know why he still hangs around Dale. I guess he just can't get rid of the camaraderie since they were all friends since elementary.
Well, I mean, yeah, I remember. I remember. Hank took a bullet for Dale. They do have an almost inseparable level of friendship. It's just he gets on his nerves fairly quickly.
It kind of reminds me of the real life friendship between James May and Jeremy Clarkson, where James May will say he's a knob, but I very much like him.
Oh yeah, they left the BBC just like because their friendship was just that inseparable.
Yeah, but I definitely see where Shady's coming from. If you're gonna shoot me, let Bobby do it. I know he'll put me down clean.
Okay.
Okay.
Tries to actively take a gun from a police officer. Yeah, I think that's the Cuddle episode. Any closing remarks on that?
um, I am very. I think I understand that it's kind of part of his character, but we probably covered it maybe a little bit, but I just want to maybe put the final bit on it. I am sick and tired of Bill just being pathetic.
Thought you were about to
I'm
say
tired.
just Bill and then just end the sentence there. It's like,
I'm
oh,
not tired of Bill. There's plenty of Bill that I do enjoy and I do like. His like there's plenty to his like backstory and to where you can like where you can like play off of. But I don't know. I'm just tired of the pathetic, desperate, um, the pathetic and desperate routine of him digging like potholes so that way like women joggers could potentially
oh
break their
God.
ankles so that he can like come to their rescue or whatever, or him hanging outside of a ladies prison to try and pick up women that are just coming out of prison, like and then this with the cuddle puddle. I think that you could still do it, but it would have been the ultimate realization to Bill of I'm I'm either near my 60s or in my 60s. I'm in my twilight years and I'm still this. I've been
Uh,
this for
okay.
over a decade, like
To be
for so
fair,
long.
after finishing Netflix, if he wasn't gonna ever have that moment, like if he
Like
didn't have
yeah,
it
sure.
then, he wasn't gonna ever have it.
Yeah, and like now, honestly, I think the time away, Hank's time away with Hank not being there to like kind of look after him, because Hank was sort of like his more responsible older brother. Um, I think I think after that, maybe he could have stopped being pathetic, or maybe his time with Khan, and maybe looking at Khan, and maybe like looking at Khan going through the divorce. As much as we don't agree or like how it's done, maybe looking at Khan going through his divorce and how pathetic Khan is acting, he kind of gets his act together to help out Khan, and or just something. I'm just something. If next season they go back to Bill being being this sad bald old man, I don't know. I'm just good. I think I might just tune out like most Bill moments. It's just it's something that so I'm just so tired of, man.
I think.
Remember,
God.
remember when Bill had black barber friends?
Yeah.
I was about to. I was actually about to bring up like that's actually where I kind of thought I was like I'm kind of done with Bill. Like he's had multiple moments where he's gotten on my nerves, and like that's where like that was one of the ones that didn't break the camel's back, but got very close.
Well, I mean, like
Yeah.
ignoring the whole he lied about Peggy being his wife thing. Just remember he had them
Yeah.
Yeah.
because
Oh
they
yeah.
don't exist anymore.
Yeah, they don't
he
exist
had,
anymore. No.
He had friends. Yeah. He
Those
would
friends
even-
existed for the joke of him lying about Peggy. That episode's done. We don't need them anymore.
Yeah, and here's the thing: you could have also done the thing of like, oh yeah, we know you're lying about that, but we just wanted to humor you. I don't know. Yeah, honestly, those could have been like a neat addition to the cast. They appear like they appear like maybe like every
well,
other episode or something.
You say that. What happened to Keith David's character?
President Curtis.
President Curtis. oh, the new Rick
Yeah.
and Morty spinoff.
Oh, you think it might genuinely be a recording like conflict? That's why he's just not there.
That's a possibility. I imagine he would have cost some money, or that might have raised his like contract prices.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Like I won't not consider it. I didn't think about that
Hey,
at all.
I mean, Chris Stuckman somehow managed to afford him for like a 5-minute cameo.
I mean, the show is filled with great Griffin, so I feel like they have the budget for high-end voice actors.
They
But-
do.
True. Yeah.
But Keith David has his own show now, so I that could play a factor into it.
Possibly. Like I'll give you that one. So his character just flat out disappeared. And yeah, those black barbers disappeared. Is he by this point is Bill still working for the army?
I don't think so.
No, I
would
think he's
imagine he'd be
retired.
Okay.
because he
so-
stayed in his house for like a long time, just didn't move. Like I don't
Yeah,
think
he
the army would tolerate that.
Yeah, well, remember, he almost
finished
went-
Netflix.
Yeah, remember he almost went they almost considered him going AWOL because of when he was part of that barbershop quartet.
Yeah.
They even have a nickname for me. William. It's like, Bill, it's just your name. That's just your name. Yeah, I really want Bill episodes to improve because otherwise, yeah, I'm gonna start doing what Jake will do and just tune it out. Let's see. So then, with that, it's time for Reality Bites. So, with this one, as I'm quickly pulling it up over my screen to try to focus.
Oh, this
that
is the
to
one with
tab.
the King of the Grow. I
Yeah.
Yeah.
confused this one with the other one where he's just auditioning. This is the
Yeah,
one he's
the-
actually
Okay.
on it.
So this is the
Yeah.
magnet fishing episode and the reality TV show with Bobby. Do we want to address the canon in the room first, or the do we want to talk about the probably the stupidest reality show that I
I
ever
kind of
met?
want
'Cause-
to go over the canon just because of how just kind of a weird and kind of this is weird. Where like they find this Civil War era canon, they make it look pristine and great, and then after firing it, they decide, well, let's just dump it in because we fucked up.
Not
the
to me.
canon thing was annoying. Like, it's not the worst King of the Hill plot
Oh, yeah,
ever, but it is
sure.
annoying because it's people doing something stupid, the one voice of reason telling them not to. And because first of all, when they fire that cannon, they're like, there's nothing for miles, so we'll be fine. Then he trips and points it 2 inches to the right, so that ruins everything. Like, what was the point if there was nothing for miles? Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
if I had to guess, then like the actual reason was like it just turns out the powder charge was more than they anticipated, hence why. But it's like there's nothing around for miles, then Big Tex doesn't get hit. Like, end of story.
like you can't say this thing solves our problem and then that thing doesn't solve your problem. Like, you have to give an actual thing the characters didn't think about. But it was, again, not the worst subplot ever, but it was annoying because it ends with Hank being like, well, I guess I should listen to Dale sometimes because Dale rescued him at the end. And I'm like, no. This entire thing happened because of Dale. Like,
No, yeah, like listen to the voice of reason. Like, not to mention, like this also boils down to the fact that Dale left evidence that they did this. He marked on the cannon. Like
true.
Yeah, hold on. I'm pulling that shot back up. They straight up like I don't think he put their address, but I think he for once put his name on it.
I think a better thing that could have happened would have been Hank was dangling from Big Tex and then Dale being like, I'll save you. And Hank being like, no, I told you to stay put. This is all your fault. And Dale brings up, like, if it wasn't for me, we wouldn't have found the cannon in the first place. I have some good ideas. And then rescues Hank.
Right. And then, like, it did feel a little odd, the idea of like, oh yes, now we will fire this cannon instead of bringing it to the historical like museum. And it's just like, Dale, they'll probably let you shoot it anyway
Yeah.
because it's a fucking historical museum in Texas. I think one of the people at the museum is probably going to want to fire it on principle.
I mean, could it even still be fired after spending like spending like what, 150 odd years?
If they restored it to the proper amount, and I think that cannon was made of straight up cast iron.
Okay.
Then there's a good chance it would have been perfectly fine. But either way, you could have provided it to them, and then just basically you just have Dale just keep nagging on and on, and like, all right, this is what we will do. Like, like we will then fire the cannon, and then that's how you end the episode. I get it. It's like we're talking about voice of reason, Hank Hill versus the insane nonsense of a conspiracy nut, Dale Gribble. But there is an in between in which this works, and I feel like, as Jay brought up, it's making the crazy man just right at the end of the day, and it's like, but he wasn't. He's the whole Big Tex is now permanently scarred, and people are gonna find that.
Yeah, and
because they undid their repair, correct?
Did they?
I think pulling it up because
I don't think they did. I don't think they did unless no, I don't think they.
Well, even if they so I'm looking through the episode right now, like right at the end. So they're about to throw it into the thing.
They didn't undo their damage, but they did cause a little bit of damage because Hank ripped the sleeve as he fell. But the broken fingers they fixed.
But looking at the shot of the repaired hand, it's obvious enough that somebody had broken it in the first place and then repaired it. So, okay, so I found the inscription on the cannon. So I take it back. It said Battle of the Flipping Bird, Wingo. So to be fair, that's not an address. That's not his name. Not anything. At the same time, anyone who finds that cannon again, one, they're gonna find it in its housing, and that it's been recently restored. So this is not as clear cut as the episode is making it be believed.
Well, if enough time passes before the next person finds it, like it's going to be real. More time makes it more and more increasingly difficult to pin it on them, even with that evidence. Like if
Right.
somebody finds it 20 years down the line,
Yeah, it does just depend on like when it's next found. I'll give you that. Uh, so the issues I have with the episode are more the reality TV show. Like King of the Grill, I have like so anytime a TV show does like a TV show within a TV show, I do go a bit autistic, like shock of all shocks, I know. Where I'm just like, okay, how would this function as a television show that everybody watches? And something that it's like because this is supposed to be like a Hell's Kitchen Master Chef type deal, but it's got that big buff guy that everybody sees on TikTok. Uh, and he just kind of apparently makes up rules as he's going, which is rather odd because they said this show's been going on for like 20 plus seasons, like enough that Bobby has the playbook essentially memorized. It's like, okay, you have the playbook essentially memorized, and yet the rules have essentially been kind of thrown out for this one. Like, isn't this going to be really confusing to the viewer, whoever sees the show, and not to mention, like, it's going to be a bit more confusing to the contestants?
yes,
But that's yeah.
that that was kind of the point that that was happening on the show. Like we saw that on the show. The
yeah.
I'm more
Bobby's
sorry. The point I was getting at was like, how come this show is so like successful at this point? If apparently the rules are
It's because it's reality TV, and in reality TV, no one cares about the rules of the thing. They care about the crash TV elements. They care about all the stupid drama bullshit. They don't care about like rules or anything.
So it depends, like especially with the cooking shows, like with things like it's not about the personal drama with things like Iron Chef, for example. It is who can make the best dish out of the ingredients that are given. I think same with not Master Chef. I'm thinking of what's the one where they just have like a basket and they're just like, you will now cook with only like vegetarian ingredients, and you've just got the guy who makes barbecue going like, oh, I can't do this, it's on the Food Network. Point being is like, when it comes to cooking shows, these are like, for Hell's Kitchen, yes, the drama matters, but that's because it's on Fox. You're not here to watch them make the best food. You wanted to see Gordon Ramsay flip his fucking lid and break shit.
So I would say in the show King of the Hill, they established that it is a show that focuses on the entertainment element. That's how Bobby gets in the first place. It doesn't matter that his food is good; it matters that he's a draw. So with them establishing that, my immersion can stay intact as long as they keep going with that. I mean, it's already been ruined because Bobby knows how to entertain people. But
right.
If I could accept that, I could accept that. Oh, this is a show that the people in King of the Hill watch this show for the entertainment factor, not because of cooking. So yes, even if every cooking show in the world, in the real world, isn't like that, I can buy that the cooking show in here is like that, because we do have a lot of reality TV shows in the real world where they're not about the thing they say they're about. They're about the drama. I hate those shows. I don't think they're entertaining, but the general audience apparently disagrees with me. And there's kind of this thing where a lot of people who watch reality shows know they're fake, but don't want to acknowledge they're fake. It's like the drama is clearly faked, but people don't want to like tell themselves that. And that's what I got from this cooking show. It's like, oh, the people kind of know it's fake, but where it's conflicting with itself is Bobby, because Bobby watches the show, but he thinks it's real, and it's only through being on the show that he finds that it's fake. I mean, you could rack that up to, they say one of Bobby's traits is that he's too trusting. So you could rack that up to that. But that's like the only place I see where it's conflicting with itself. Um, Also, Connie doesn't know it's fake either. I think, but that's because she's in a jealous headspace, so her perspective can't really be trusted in the show.
True.
Yeah, she has a tendency to get jealous rather fast.
I mean, to be fair, he was intentionally flirting with the other girl.
Yeah.
And she
Yeah,
was like, even when the cameras weren't on them, she did give off like the classic pull my hair back signs. I'm gonna compliment you.
Oh yeah, I will say also, yeah, it's fucking weird how she tried to make it real, and that did bug me at a certain point. I was like, all right, stop it. Like, the cameras are off. Knock it off. His girlfriend is right there. Like, what are you doing?
I mean, all in all, it's a pretty meh episode to me. Neither plot really. I don't really have too many positive things to say about either plot, but not super negative things. Mostly, I feel like the things I have to say about both are nitpicks.
It's more of one of those like forgettable filler episodes you would have in a season where it's like, we need something to fill out the season. Well, we made this.
But it shouldn't be, because Bobby's been working to get
True.
on King of the Grill since season 14.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It shouldn't be,
we've
and
been building to this whole time.
Okay, sorry to derail, but I just had a spell of deja vu. Like, I've dreamt that this has happened. I'm sorry. It kind of stun locked me for a second.
Okay.
No, this very conversation. You know how like deja vu, and you'll be in the middle of a conversation, and you're like, I know this has happened before, but I don't know when.
No,
It
yeah,
actually
I know.
hasn't happened.
All right.
Sorry. I know that was random and dumb, but
but so yeah, with all that, like I didn't hate it. However, I definitely think it could have been way better. Like, we've seen what King of the Hill, especially with the last season, we know what it can do. Like, this has been some of the most entertaining television for decades, and then came back, and it feels like with its second new season that it's dropping the ball heavily. And then we get on to so I feel like the season finale is such an odd season finale, because that's where I was kind of bringing up how it feels like we're almost getting people back to the status quo of bringing Hank back to Strickland Propane, and then we get an explanation as to why he went to Saudi Arabia in the first place. And so, do we think that the breaking point for Hank and Buck, like, is where it should have been? Like, it being that Ray Roy is now taking over the business instead of Hank.
That question has a few intricacies in it.
Sorry, because let me rephrase and also give an example. I think because I was bringing up to Jake how the breaking point for Hank should have been when he put Bobby in danger, when he was taking him as his caddy, brought him gambling. That's where he'd been like, no, you put my son in danger, I'm done. But he stuck with him throughout so much shit, because Hank is the golden goose, as has been described multiple times by, well, not multiple times, this one time by Buck, that he would, so to him to just pass the business to Ray Roy, like, does feel odd to me.
I'm not sure I feel like Buck would give the company to Ray Roy.
No, he wouldn't.
Yeah,
he wouldn't give the company to Ray Roy at all.
He would give it to Hank. Like, again, he's the golden goose.
So, it's difficult for me to see Buck giving the company away to anybody without having serious control in it. but just making Hank manager, I could see him doing that. Which is what we mean in this regard.
Yes.
I don't know
Mhm.
why my brain got locked on that. It shouldn't have. That's exactly what we were, the context. So because they just for my own sake, recap, Hank gets called by friends. They say that the company's going under, and Hank's like, oh, okay, I'll go talk to Buck. But before he does that, he has a flashback about everything that happened. So first of all, I don't like how this episode starts, because it's the inciting incident is it just happens. Like,
yeah.
just
Oh, yeah,
Hank
the
just
sto-
gets a call.
Yeah, is that Joe Jack is like, yep, I'm drunk, come pick me up.
Like, there's no reason for that to happen. It's just it could have happened at any other day. But yeah, he goes there, and then now there's like, oh, he has bad blood with Buck. So now they have to explain that away because Buck was in last season. So they have to be like, oh yeah, we've had professional dealings, but we just agreed not to talk about that day. I'm like, I feel like you wouldn't have had professional dealings, Hank, after what happened. Um, now they got to explain that away. Then he has a flashback, and then it's like, oh, I'm retiring and I'm going to give the company to Ray Roy. And I'm like, that that doesn't feel right, but it doesn't feel necessarily wrong. It feels like there's a step missing. And to be fair, there is a step missing. We missed Buck hiring Roy in the first place. And them getting like close enough that Buck would do this.
I think
That's the implication, but we don't see that.
I think the idea is that, like, once they found out that once Buck found out about Ray Roy and they got close in that one episode where that involved Hank throwing up on the lady's hair, like, I guess there's a possibility that Buck would have tried to fold in his Strickland propane into his own, and thus be more of a combined business. But then there's also just the issue of Ray Roy is now just a complete fucking idiot, when he wasn't.
Yeah, they killed his character. Because he successfully ran his Strickland propane, and they had to make him a failure here so that Hank would look better in comparison.
Yeah, and it just they character assassinated for no real particular reason. Of all the people, why do that to Ray Roy?
They needed a person whom Buck would give the position to over Hank. And we've seen that there's an entire episode about how Buck is weak to Ray Roy. So they thought he would be good enough for this whole plot, but they had to, like, it's like I said, they think of the memes instead of actually knowing what happened. And the meme is that Buck and Ray Roy, they get into trouble shenanigans all the time, even though both of them run successful businesses.
Yeah.
The whole point was that when they both feel excited to spend time with each other because one didn't know the other existed and the other one was told his whole life to stay away from the other one. It's just like, oh, missing family member, I want to spend some time with you. They just keep that dynamic going, but they only leave it on Ray Roy. So Ray Roy is just this party animal now who can't run a business. Like, Buck was a party animal, but he knew how to run a business.
Yeah, that's why he invested into Khan's, like, car wash.
So none of it really sits. Ray Roy being there in the first place just doesn't really sit right. And then they say, well, he's going to choose Ray Roy over Hank. I'm like, that could work, but you didn't put the missing ingredient there for it to work. So it feels wrong. Like, I don't want to say it's wrong, but it feels wrong because you did not put in the work to get to this point in the show. So hopefully that answers that one question.
Yeah,
Like I said, there's a lot of intricacies there.
No, yeah, it's a lot to process, and then like, I also just don't think, like, Buck also wouldn't just make such a blatant mistake to just say something like that to, like, Hank quitting and leaving. Buck would chase after Hank because, again, Golden Goose. He'd be like, "Oh no, I would lose my top salesman," and I just said like he's going to help Ray Roy keep the business afloat. Like, so he needs to be here. Buck would panic almost instantly.
Why does I don't even know why Buck gives the job to Ray Roy if Ray Roy so let's say Buck
I think
is
it's a
weak to Ray
nepo baby
Roy.
joke.
It if Ray Roy but the thing is Buck says he can't say no to Ray Roy. That's supposed to be it. But Ray Roy, they don't show Ray Roy asking for the job. If they had showed that, it would make a bit more sense. But they don't show that, so that makes you assume Buck just gives him the job when Ray Roy is already running a different part of Strickland Propane. He could have had the best of both worlds. But I guess they do say Buck doesn't see Hank as manager. He sees him as a natural number 2. So that's probably where they're going with that. Even though he did promote Hank to manager at one point.
And then that's when that's when they had the falling, that's when they had the weird moment where he told Buck that he loved him, and then that's what caused a whole nother conflict with Cotton.
Yeah, I always thought that it wasn't that Buck didn't think Hank could be a manager, it was that he just wanted to be in charge. Even in the episode where he chooses what's that guy? I can't remember that guy's name. That nerd guy who made the truckers go on strike. Even when he chose him, I always saw that as he knew Hank was there in case something happened, and he wanted to give this guy who had a business degree a chance to use his business knowledge because he knew a lot about business. So, and he knew if something happened, Hank could resolve it. But Hank left, so things went really south. So I never saw it as Buck didn't think Hank could be a leader, just that he wanted to lead because Hank was so good at being a lieutenant. So I'm not sure about that phrasing. Maybe I'm being way too nitpicky about it, but
Well, in this case, like when we're talking about a major character assassination of Ray Roy, because they made him so unbelievable dumb. There's and everybody is almost acting out of character when it came to that decision. That there's almost no such thing as too nitpicky on this. And then there are some jokes I appreciated. After he's doing his job search, we get one good Thatherton in. Like, Thatherton. And he crushes the beer can. And then,
speaking of jokes, this episode had the one joke throughout both seasons that made me legit. Well, I probably laughed out loud sometime during season 14, but this season, this is the one joke that made me actually laugh out loud, and it was them telling Bobby they were gonna leave, and Bobby's like, I want to stay," and Peggy says, "Her delivery is so great here." Peggy says, "Bobby, you can't stay here by yourself. You would die." I just burst out laughing.
Yeah,
how well that was
great.
delivered.
That's because
great.
it's always like that mother side that's just like, yeah, you can't be left alone. Like, you're you.
It's a perfect combination of what mothers would typically think, and also Peggy's narcissism. Because Peggy's like, "How would you survive without me here?"
Exactly.
So it's such a good joke, and the delivery is done so well.
There is a kind of with this flashback, I would argue, is kind of things that have already happened, and the show is just making them happen again, such as Bobby realizing that he loves to cook. The show originally ended with him and his dad cooking together. They loved, he loves to cook, and then especially with his dad. And then he's like, "Peggy, am I feeling pride?" And it's like, it has been said multiple times throughout the history of the show, especially the very first episode, that Bobby is Hank Hill's pride and joy. He
Yes.
loves his son. So that's why I was bringing up a bit earlier when we were talking about the nerd episode. Is it just me, or are there a lot more digs at Bobby from Hank? And I was like, it's like it just felt odd the more they were happening, and it's just like I got the impression by the end of it when he started working at Whataburger, and it's like, does Hank just not like his son anymore? What is happening?
To be fair to a certain thing, where you said they're retreading Bobby learning to cook, the episode wasn't just about him finding his calling in cooking, but in the restaurant business specifically.
Yes.
Because they show him on the grill, they show him talking to customers, they show him giving them orders, like everything about that atmosphere he was loving. So I think that's a fair thing to show, that it's not just food, because he emphasizes that, yeah, I love food and I also love people who love food. So like that's a fair thing to show, in my opinion.
Fair enough. It's this idea of like he's found what he considers to be his calling.
Because it's like you can like art or editing, and then you get on YouTube and you're like, oh my goodness, I love being a YouTuber. You know?
Yes, exactly.
Mm-hmm. And in terms of neat little character moments, him having this flashback while also smoking a cigarette, like it does show, like, because they had this while Buck's ex-wife and Debbie were hitting on Hank, just before Debbie accidentally killed herself. And instead, if Hank is stressed enough, he will start smoking again. I like the fact they kept that consistent through line. And my girlfriend Anaya is a really big K-pop fan, so she had her own issues with this episode. More in the sense that apparently, timeline-wise, the idea that people really getting into K-pop back then, especially in Texas, was really bizarre to her. But I since I don't know anything about that scene, I will just have to take her word for it, because this is apparently like what 2012-ish, as you said earlier, Jake.
It would be
it should be about 2012. Yeah.
No, it would be because Hank missed 2020, and they were only gone for like what?
No, talking about the flashback.
Yeah, Hank missed 2020, and how long was he gone overseas?
See, Bobby was 16 until Bobby was
21. Yeah, so if he missed 2020, then it'd be 2025 at the most. So this would go back 5 years, 2016.
Okay. I thought it was 20. Because then the timeline's off, because King of the Hill season 13 ended in 2009.
If it was 2016, then like I'm surprised they didn't do a dig at a Trump joke then.
The timeline is very off. I have gone on rants about this, but this is why Hank is now a Gen X.
That's why I hate this timeline so much, to be honest. Like, because I remember when Mike Judge specifically said, no, characters will get older as the show goes on. And then you realize it's like, all right, like, it's not a lie as much as it was like you weren't able to commit to that as much as you wanted to, because Fox probably just at one point said, no, we're not going to have a birthday every season, that kind of stuff. That being, this timeline's a fucking mess.
Like, if you remember, Bobby celebrated the year 2000 when he was a tween, and it's past 2021, and he's 21 years old. So
he'd be 40 by this point, wouldn't he? Actually,
he'd be a millennial, so he'd be somewhere in the millennial range between like 30 and like 45-ish.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
God, but they turn him into a Zoomer.
I hate sliding time scales so much, man.
Well, hold on. You want to talk about the nightmare? Let's talk about The Simpsons.
Let's not.
I don't like sliding timelines, but like it's something I can deal with if you don't draw too much attention to the inconsistencies, which is one of the reasons I really hate the Manosphere episode, because it draws attention to the inconsistencies.
Oh yeah.
True.
K-pop is what you were talking about.
So because I was originally thinking like, oh yeah, with the way because Anaya said the timeline didn't add up, and since unfortunately I just don't know about this, I just had to take the word for it. But if it's 2016, I wonder if that changes that. I don't know, and she's doing stuff right now, so I will not ask.
I would say there's definitely leeway, because 2016 is like the earliest with what we're giving. It could be later. We don't know the exact year. We just know 2020 has passed because they mentioned 2020 in the first episode of season 14.
And in the intro, there's references to the pandemic. Like, that's pretty much like I'm thinking about this. an even further degradation of Ray Roy's character, the fact that when they go into Strickland Propane, it is a complete and utter fucking mess. Like, it is insane that like Buck wouldn't have stepped in way earlier and just gone, get the fuck out of my business. Because he's a drunk on the floor. It took, I think it, like, by that point, it took actual blackmail in order to turn Hank into the owner of Strickland Propane.
Well, it was more so.
Because I think that's what, like, Peggy was taking pictures.
I guess that could be
That was my
an
interpretation. I could
interpretation.
be completely wrong.
Because Buck was already at the point of begging Hank to fix Strickland Propane, and Hank just said no. But when Hank saw Strickland Propane, his love for propane took over. But I do wonder why she took that
True.
picture.
Yeah, that is weird. So the thing is, maybe Peggy was planning on blackmailing, or Peggy was keeping it for later to hold over Buck's head, or I don't know, just do Peggy Hill things because Peggy Hill is Peggy Hill and no one understands her.
Peggy Hill things.
What else can you describe as to what the things that she does besides Peggy Hill things?
I just want to have that on a shirt now. Somebody doing Peggy Hill things.
Yeah.
But going back to something that was said a while ago, I agree that Buck would not have let Hank just walk out. That should have been stretched out. But this episode tried to cram a bit too much into one episode because it's essentially two plots. It's the plot of Hank getting fired and or not getting fired, quitting, and the plot of Hank coming back. And it's difficult to blame it for that. It should have been a 2-part episode. I don't know what episode they would have taken out. Hank encounters of the nerd kind. Just
Let's
because I'm biased.
see. Well, I'm gonna take a quick look. Hold on. I think my bias, I probably would have removed Reality Bites. No, that's the through line of not only him trying to get onto the show, but also him saying that he loves Connie and they want to move in together. Shit.
I mean, the most filler are episode 3 with the fishing, the chicken one, and the offense one.
I think I'd remove the cuddle one because that's just the one that no.
It's either the cuddle one or it's the one where it basically confirms John Redcord and Nancy are we're back together.
The best little marriage in Texas, I do think, like, but that also includes you. Hold on, I think maybe just remove the A plot because the B plot is still him trying to get onto the show. If we wouldn't be we'd be fucking with one to get rid of the other.
Oh, remove the A plot of that and remove the B plot of another one.
Yeah, and let's combine them together. Yeah, you could do that.
But yeah, this should have been a 2-part episode because it's 2 plots and they're all crammed together. And yeah, Hank needed more time to really get mad at Buck for this to be the last step. So I don't see Hank walking out because of that. I could see him getting frustrated at it and then working for Ray Roy a bit, and then Ray Roy continues to things continue to happen where he's just like, you know what, I need to quit. And Buck giving more, really trying to convince him to stay, maybe giving him not making him manager, but giving him a raise or something like that, something along those lines. Maybe hiring Bobby to try to sway him to stay.
Bringing back Jimmy was really funny when he went to Thatherton for that second. No, is it the guy who almost got Bobby killed?
Yeah, that's Jimmy. It works as a joke. I've never really laughed at Jimmy, but it works. It's funny.
Yeah, if we were gonna have anyone make a cameo, I'm fine with Jimmy doing it. Because what other characters, if you were to make a oh yes, this character returns in Avengers Doomsday, I can only think of Jimmy, or What was his name? The guy that Dale works with, the Mexican guy.
That wasn't that
Me-
Emilio?
Emilio.
Emilio.
Yeah, it
Oh,
was.
wait, no,
It's
sorry.
this-
That's
I thought it was like I thought like Emilio was like the shady dude that worked for Dale in the original series. Then he just went clean and started working for Bobby. But I could be wrong.
I can't.
Is it? Hold on. No.
Yeah, because I could have sworn unless it's a different Emilio, but I think it is the same character.
I don't think it's the same character. They look completely different, but I can't
Yeah.
remember his name. Octavio.
Octavio, yeah. What happened to Octavio, man? Like,
The government got him.
oh no. Also there are like, if you were to say like of all of Hank's former, like, there's little nitpicks here and there, such as like if you were to have like any of Hank's former coworkers try to get his attention by saying that they're drunk, I don't think it'd be not Ray, Joe Jack. It would be Enrique. Because remember, he did that whole thing for his daughter's quinceañera. Like, he has more history with Enrique than he does Joe Jack.
Also, I kind of. This is the big episode where people are like, "Man, this happened, and therefore it's good." I'm not the biggest fan of Hank finally saying no to Buck, because like the lesson's supposed to be, he finally has enough, for lack of a better term, gumption to say no to the man he's admired for so many years and not give into it. And then he gives into it.
Yeah.
Oh, and
Like,
also
I
people
get what they're
praising that he's
going
finally
for.
the owner. Like, he's finally the manager. And it's like, no, he's not the manager, he's the owner. Like,
I mean, he's both the manager and the owner, but I get what they were going for, because it's like, oh, he said no to Buck, but he said yes to his love of propane. But that still circles back around to him saying yes to Buck. I think the scene where he buys Strickland propane needed to be in there, where where Buck doesn't want him to be majority owner, and Hank says, "This is the only way. I'm not submitting to you anymore, Buck. We're doing things my way, or I'm leaving." I think that needs
or I'm
to be
gone
in there
forever. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I could even see Buck being silent for like a second and then saying, "My name stays on the building." And Hank says, "Wouldn't have it any other way, sir."
Yeah.
Fair enough on that one, because I was actually about to make the point of like, would he still keep calling, like, if he's the majority owner now, why would he still call it Strickland Propane and not, well, Hill Propane? I guess doesn't sound very nice. Like, Strickland and Hill Propane. I'm not good. I'm not great with names. Look at it, literally any of my
Yeah.
video titles.
Yeah, you're not. No, if it were up to you, you'd name each video with as a singular number.
Video
And
1, video 2.
Yeah, and then
Video-
get upset at everyone going like, "Which one was this video? Did you not pay attention to the labeling?"
It is video 3. Timestamp insert here, because I pay attention to way too many things. Yet I've never chaptered a single video in my life.
Yeah, neither. Some people have done it for me for mine, but I haven't done it myself.
I wouldn't think of where the fuck I would actually put it. Be like, well, what I guess, like, here is I guess with the Dark Knight video, I could just go, yes, here is the part where I talk. Here is the part where Slur talks.
I think a better ending to that one episode, to the last episode, maybe is Hank's final goodbye to Strickland Propane. Just let it go under.
I think
The problem is that
ultimately that would be good for moving on, but I don't think this is a show that wants to move on from that. I think it wants to bring back Strickland Propane because there's a lot of stories they can tell with it.
True. I'm not against Hank coming out of retirement, because I believe that Hank would come out of retirement, but they would kind of need to start establishing that Hank is getting bored around not going to work, and like,
yeah, because they made it seem like that early season 14, but now he's kind of back to just doing projects, so I feel like he'd be fine.
Well,
Yeah.
he's been, to be fair, like they show he's bored with not working, but he does like throughout the show, he does find ways to keep himself busy. He'll work for Bobby. He'll just go do some odd hobby with the boys. So I think it's pretty believable. Like there's no reason for him to not go back to work, especially when he loves strict and when he loves propane. And also the church episode, they was them specifically saying we have a lot of time, let's find some way to fill it, and that's how they get involved with the church stuff.
Yep, fair enough. Like I feel like it's definitely worth the conversation at least.
Yeah.
I guess like the big question would be like, what do we think about this season, like ratings wise? Because I've been kind of all over the place. The more I think about it, I don't think any of this goes over a 6.
Fully, I would say a 6 is warranted. There is no episode where I was just falling in love with it. Every episode that's good is okay at best. But at the same time, there was never an episode where I got as upset as I did with the Manosphere episode. Hanging Encounters of the Nerd Kind and The Best Little Marriage in Texas do upset me, but
Same.
I think I was more upset with the Manosphere episode, No Hank Left Behind, and that Peggy's Fade Out.
Yeah. But yeah, I think like a 5 or a 6 is warranted.
Such a disappointment at the end of the day. Like
Yeah.
like King of the Hill is that show for me. Like the more I have like brief periods where we all focus on a certain show. I think for right now that show is both Top Gear and Grand Tour for me and Jake. Then there's like we're getting back to Reacher soon with season 4 coming out. And it's like meanwhile we could always go back to King of the Hill.
Yeah.
I mean,
So for this to be such a like a disappointment for me, it's not shattering, of course, I'll live, but it's like, man, this had so much potential to it.
King of the Hill for me is mostly like because of career reasons. Like I always tell
Fair
people,
enough.
like King of the Hill is not my favorite show, and they're like, "What? How is it not your favorite show? Why do you review it so much?" I'm like, Because you guys watch it."
Yeah, I was gonna say it's your job, like that's which is totally understandable on that part.
It's a business decision.
Yeah,
It's like so I it's a show I watch, but I can't say it's like my favorite show or anything. This when the revival was first announced years ago, I was like, well, it could be good or it could be bad. I'm not 100% certain. I was optimistic with season 14, less so now. But there's a lot of stuff I'm fine with, but there's a lot of stuff I cannot believe they did. Like I love Bobby and the journey he's taking on his life. I could live without him dating Connie, but I'm fine with it being there. But I hate the Super Newsom divorce. So it's like it kind of balances out for me. If it gets worse next season, I might have to call it with that because it's
Fair
currently
enough,
going
yeah.
downhill.
yeah. Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Oh wow! I didn't catch
You did.
that.
Yeah.
That's how I would normally end like one of my videos, like dramatic pause, like, but as it is, it's currently going downhill. Dramatic pause. This has been Shady Durag.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, I think that's it. Shady, do you want to plug any current or upcoming projects you got going on?
Not necessarily. I mean, I just released a Daria video, so people want to go check that out.
Yep.
Of course. I think with us, we're kind of just between stuff right now. I need to release the Motor City video. Have you what do you think of the actor of Alan Richardson, Shady?
Never heard of him.
You ever watch like Reacher?
Nope.
Fair enough then. Yeah,
Blue Mountain.
I'm not as
have you seen Bl-
culturally inclined as a lot of people think I am. I
have
just
you
hyper focus on a lot of stuff I review.
have you watched Blue Mountain State?
No.
Okay,
uh,
fair
that-
enough.
that's a fantastic comedy. I would especially with it's like a college football type series, and it's a lot of old stoner comedy jokes. I I think you'd appreciate like at least an episode of it.
Yeah.
With that, we'll call it. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Goodbye.